All right, good evening, everybody. This is the weekly Alaboom for January 27th, 2016. I have my regular online pals with me this evening. I have the ever loquacious Barry Reynolds.
Hey, what's up?
I have the new improved skinny Keith Collins.
Skinny my butt.
And the ever irascible John Travolta.
Irascible? What the hell does that even mean?
You just
I
broke
gotta,
into
I gotta look it up. I'm irascible. No, seriously, what does that mean?
It's a
in
compliment.
jail.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, all right. Thanks.
How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
I'm good.
Getting by, getting by.
Irascible, it says having or showing a tendency to be easily angered.
That sounds right.
Okay. I'm not easily angered, but when I get angry, I get angry.
Irascible. There. Now you've learned something. I learned something today.
Knowledge is power.
There you go. So how's everybody doing?
Different from like a minute ago?
Uh,
With your asses?
Yeah.
just
Just
as
saying.
good.
Yeah. Now that you know what irascible means.
Oh, okay. I was trying since the last episode. Been trying desperately to figure out how to get the feedback sound on my microphone.
Oh. Well, we just have to have Seth come in.
But I was playing around with different things, like pulling the mic plug out a little bit and see if it happened. But I don't know if it actually worked. So I'm not gonna try it now.
I did send an invite to Seth, so hopefully he'll respond.
Oh, hopefully he'll not have his headphones.
Anybody play anything new lately?
Anything new?
Sounds like feedback. What is that?
What?
There was some weird static there for a second.
Well, it wasn't for me.
Like it was somebody was coming from the moon or something. You're going to hold up Prodigal's Club. Did you play it as an add-on or by itself?
No, by itself.
I played it by itself. I really enjoyed it. I have not added it on to Last Will.
I don't have Last Will, so I can't add it on anyway.
Really? Why don't you have Last Will?
I don't have it.
Why?
Just don't have it.
I really enjoy Last Will. It's one of it's a keeper. It's a keeper that gets played instead of a keeper that I might play this someday on my shelf.
I think Prodigal's Club is actually better.
Well, how can you know if you haven't played it?
No, from everything I know about it, I think it's better. I've seen people playing Last Will, and just looking at them and they're like, all right, well, okay. I think it gets a little samey from what I can tell from watching people play it and talking to people who play it. Not samey in the fact that every game is the same, but your choices and what you're doing seem to come a little more obvious in the game. That's what I like about this, the fact that you have to balance out those three tracks at the same time, so there are more options in what you're doing when.
I think it is more of a gamer's game. I mean, that would be a good way to. I mean, I don't. Not that Last Will isn't a gamer's game, because it is. But I mean, there is more of an elegance, if you will. I hate that definition for.
There's an extra level of
Looks like
game.
it's the next step up in complexity over last.
There you go.
And I haven't played Prodigals yet, but it does interest me, and I do like Last Will. So.
Do you have the expansion for Last Will?
I do have it. I did not play it with it yet, though.
I did. It's okay. It's not a great expansion, but it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I tend my belief on most expansions are this was something that they already had in the game. They got cut for whatever reason. It just this was chaff. We're gonna get rid of this, and then if it does well, then we'll come back to it and see if we can, make it, add it back on. That's usually how I see those things.
The question I have is, how different is it playing with the Last Will board instead of the board from the game that comes with the game for losing possessions.
It probably adds a lot more time to it.
You know what's weird is there was like this I forget what it was. It was, and it might still be in for Last Will, because Last Will is like if I ever did like a top 20 or games or whatever, Last Will would be in there somewhere. And Last Will has on BGG there was a small expansion for it that was a like a turn order board and had a rule for it. And I got one. You know, it was like whatever it was, $5, and it is such a better method of determining turn order than what's in the normal game. And I don't know if you can even get it anymore. It was like one of those things where wasn't this in it? It was one of those strange things that they omitted for whatever reason that didn't have any explanation.
I have the Last Will promo card on my desk.
See, now I gotta go to the geek store and see if it's still in there.
I doubt it. It's
so old that I mean it's.
My iPad.
Oh geez, what was that?
Oh, hello.
Is somebody in trouble?
Yeah, there's only one promo, which is the messenger I have on the Geek Store. So.
Yeah. No, if you go into here, I'll find it. No, and it's one of those things where you could proxy it super easy if you had the rules. Yeah, Last Will Plan Order board. It was one board, and it had 5 cardboard discs, and it turns play order planning markers, which in turn determines the order for errand boy placement as usual. At the start of the game, place a marker of each player's color on. If you don't know how to play Last Will, this isn't going to make any sense. For those of you who do, at the start of the game, place a marker of each player's color on a random circle using only those circles which correspond to the number of players. For the first round, the play order is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and all of the rounds, the order is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you place an errand boy in the left gray circle with a clock description, then your marker is placed on 1 and the other players get shifted to the left. Similarly, if you place an errand boy in the right circle, your marker is placed on 2 and all the markers are shifted right to fill any gap you left.
My picture is the board if anybody wants to see what you're talking about.
Yeah, no. So if you own Last Will, I'm highlighting Keith here. If you own Last Will, that is a much better player order process than what's within the game. And you could easily, like I said, proxy that just with the
with a piece of paper and some circles.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yes, highly recommend. And that's one of those head scratchers. Like, why didn't you just leave that in the game? Because maybe that one extra sheet of cardboard would have cost them more money or something. I have heard that that's sometimes weird. Is like, it's like, oh, if we included one more sheet of cardboard, we would have had to increase the price of each game by $3 or something. So I have heard of crazy stuff like that before.
Well, that's the whole model behind the Tiny Epic games. It has to weigh a certain amount.
Right.
They can only add stuff until it hits that weight, and that's it.
Yeah, well, it seems to be working for them. So.
Yeah, because basically they mail the games out to Kickstarter backers in the padded envelope, and then I think it has to be 13 ounces or less, or under 13 ounces. So once they hit like 13.1 ounces, they have to put it in a box, and it costs $3 extra to ship.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
They were talking about it on one of the podcasts that Michael was on. I think it was on Onboard Games. He was talking about it, but he was explaining the whole thing of why they plan everything out, like as far as what stretch goals are going to be, and specifically based around that. It's all based around weight.
Mm-hmm. Michael Coe, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I'll say that right now.
That is no doubt a fact.
So, you might not like his games, or you might not like the whole Tiny Epic thing, but yeah, super nice dude.
Is he from Minnesota?
I have no idea. No, don't even get me started.
I think he's from Pittsburgh.
Well, we
He
won't
used to be
hold
an
that.
actor. Did you know that?
In where? In
He
what?
was an actor. He's actually, when I first met him, we talked about this, and he told me like the 2 movies that he actually appears in. And I'll find out some. I'll probably go on IMDb. While we're
Yeah,
talking.
I've looked him up on IMDb before. It'll take a second. There's a nice pic of him. Let me get my screen shared again.
Well, I have Michael.
There you go. There he is. That's him.
There he is. He did America's Most Wanted, America Fights Back, and Urban Legends Bloody Mary, and 3 episodes of Everwood.
He was the future alcoholic.
Michael comes from a large family of 13.
Wow.
Well, good for him.
He looks like such a baby in that picture.
Yeah, that is him, though. That is.
Oh, yeah, that's Michael.
Hey, Jim. Jim is, once again, seated in front of his tapestry.
I'm waiting for like a big hookah pipe to come out from the corner.
Whenever I see tapestry, I can only think of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, when he breaks into the castle, pretending that.
It's either that or he's in a Farrelly Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Now, this is pretty cool. I didn't know this about Michael. In 2010, he got recognition from Twin Galaxies as Video Game World Champion for The Legend of Zelda on the NES. Interesting.
His next game, Dungeon Heroes, is released worldwide in 2013.
That's a little bit old.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
Never mind.
I didn't know he was one of the pretty people of the world, but good for him. Jim, are you going to talk, or are you just going to listen?
I'm going to listen for a while. I don't want to disturb my wife.
Oh, well, she's married to you. She should know. Doesn't she know what to expect by now?
Unfortunately, she does.
You know, I've asked this question, but Anthony, did you ever answer my question? Like, what conspiracy, if any, do you believe in?
I believe I have.
And what conspiracy was the one that you believe in?
The one that I believed in was the one about Dominion and Arctic scavengers.
Well, no, okay, but like a well-known one, and that one, that's just fact.
Well-known conspiracy theory I believe in. I believe that. Let's see.
Children are the future.
I believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy.
You do?
Yep. I believe he was set up to take the fall for that.
So he didn't. Did he have? But he was there with a gun, right?
Oh, he was there with a gun, but he didn't act alone.
Yeah, fair enough. The reason I make this up is, well, one, I did a review of a game called Conspiracy just recently that I think defunded actually, but a little card game. But actually, I had a friend who said that he has a retired military friend who lives in Mexico because like they moved down there, and this guy he's gonna move back into the States because there's too many black-eyed children down in Mexico. And I was like, what are you talking about? And this guy's kind of a kook that I work with, but basically if you Google black-eyed children Mexico, you will find all these stories of supposedly these paranormal creatures that look they look like normal people until you get close and you realize that they have no whites of their eyes, no coloration. They have just a black eye, and they the people can't decide if they are like aliens or if they are like demons or what have you. Anyway, so I guess so here's this guy that I work with. You're laughing, but here this guy.
I'm laughing because the only thing I'm thinking of is big black eye, like a doll's eye.
Yeah, great movie. That's my favorite movie. But no, he said that he was driving because he lives in this like little coastal town in Mexico. Like he moved down there to retire. After he got out of the military, from being in the military for like 24 years or whatever, and he lives in this little small coastal town, and he he goes fishing, and he just lives there with his fiance, and he went into like the little local town, and he drove there, and he went to like the bar, and he had a few drinks, and then he went back, and he had like a little, like he just has a Jeep, and he got back into his Jeep, and he was kind of fishing for his keys, and like then and he was waiting for his buddy to come back, that he was going to drive him home, and then he was going to drive home. And then he was sitting there, and it was like late, and he looked up, and there was this child. He said he said he like looked like 10 or 11 years old, and was walking down the street, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and he's like, it's like a little tiny town, little tiny, like almost like not a village. It's like a real place, It's like but it's weird. It was like weird to see, but I mean, it wasn't like totally weird. But then he got concerned because he's like, oh, is she lost, or what happened or whatever. And so then he was kind of watching her walk over, and then she got kind of close to him. She got about 30-40 feet away, and then he kind of waved to her, and she didn't wave back. And then he got concerned that she was scared, and so he got out of his Jeep, and he walked over towards her. And then when he got close, he saw that she just had these black eyes, and he sat there, and he said he was about like 15-20 feet away, and she started walking towards him, but he couldn't look away. Like he was just like, he was stuck in place, and he was terrified, but he couldn't turn around. He was paralyzed with fear. And then what happened was his buddy came out and saw the child as well, and grabbed him and dragged him into the Jeep. And then like when his buddy grabbed him, like it released whatever hold that this thing had over him, and they ran back to the Jeep, and then she just sat there staring at them as they got in the Jeep, and they drove away. And he said that now he's going to move back to the States because he looked into it, and he found out that they don't like the cold, so he's going to stop living in Mexico.
This sounds like someone's idea of getting more people to move to Minnesota.
No, I mean, conspiracy that Lance started. So that
no.
Well, you tell that story so well. I think you made it up as you went along.
I think so.
I wish. This is. I mean, the guy might have told me, may have been making it up or whatever. But then I went home. I went home and I Googled it, and this is like a real thing. It's a fairly. I shouldn't say it's real, but it's a fairly repeated phenomena, I should say.
So the guitar player from Limp Bizkit is Mexican?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, maybe. I don't know. What?
You know, remember him? The weird guy who used to paint his face and black eyes and all that.
Oh yeah, I didn't. I had like blocked Limp Bizkit out of my memory. So, but yeah. So there you go. So just next time you're in Mexico, just don't be up late or whatever. And
So speaking of Mexico, has there been any more developments in the whole Chupacabra?
I wouldn't know. I think isn't that weird though? It's like you say like Chupacabra and everybody's like whatever, but if you say something like, oh yeah, creepy black-eyed children, you're like, oh, that's kind of creepy. Because I think the whole idea of thinking of like a child or whatever, and then like because everybody else thinks that's ultra creepy, like dolls are creepy, and things like that. Yeah, so it's just, I think that's why people.
It's that Village of the Damned thing. That's what made
there you go.
Really scary.
That too. You believe in any conspiracies, Jim?
I have to defend my industry from conspiracies, but other than that, I like to believe that Roswell happened, but that's probably my favorite pet conspiracy.
That one's been pretty well debunked, unless you're like somebody who just seriously like has the mentality of, well, that's just what they want you to think. Like all the things that are out there to debunk it, have been planted by the government as well. I always love that argument. The whole, it's like, well, of course, because that's what they want us to think. That kind of stuff. But yeah, they like all the like the weird. Even down to the thing that they said that they saw like weird hieroglyphics or writing on the side of the craft or the wreckage, and it turned out it was just like this type of like tape that they had to use to like tape the weather balloon together or whatever. Yeah, it was just, I don't know, just spooky stuff like that. And the fact that, like, basically, if you look, like, and then unless you believe the reports are falsified, that they were actually, like, they had these weather balloons, and it was a secret project because the weather balloons went up into the upper, like, stratosphere to see if there was any nuclear testing going on. That was the whole process of it, and it was just, and so it was a secret, it was a top secret government program, and that's why, it was like, I don't know. I don't know. The idea that, like, a spaceship has crash landed on the planet Earth, and we have, like, the wreckage of it. There was a really good movie though. Was it Hangar 51, or what was that movie with about the spaceship that crash landed, and nobody knows what movie I'm thinking of?
Mhm.
I'm talking my.
I do, and I think you're pretty close to it. It was when we were younger.
Yeah, it was a staple on HBO. Like, if you turned on HBO, it was on all the time. And that was the whole thing. It was the space shuttle, and the two guys in the space shuttle saw the UFO, and they had launched a satellite or something, and the satellite ran into the
Hangar
UFO.
18 from
Hangar
1980.
18, yes. Yeah, that was I mean, I remember being spooked by that movie hardcore. That was
Starring Gary Collins.
yeah. And
That's why it spooked you.
what?
Maybe that's why it spooked you.
Maybe. And then there was also another movie that was about, like, a secret government conspiracy, like, about cattle mutilations, but it was actually just like
I think that was called South Park.
no, but it was I can't remember the name of it, but it was about cattle mutilations, and there was, like, the weird helicopters, like the black helicopters. That's the other thing, black helicopters flying over land, and they were testing nerve gas. The government was testing nerve gas or something on the cows and everything like that, and then they now, if I remember, Peter Coyote was the evil guy, if I remember correctly. I might be misremembering, but
He's a good evil guy.
he wasn't a good evil guy. Good name too, Peter Coyote. That's just a good acting name. Like Rip Torn, that's another good acting name. Of course, he lost his mind. But anyway, I'm just nobody's. Is anything else? You guys been doing anything? Has anybody played any games? Let's just say that. Anybody played any games?
I
So
tried
I did.
Valeria Card Kingdoms.
Oh, did that Kickstarter finally go out?
Yeah, I got it Monday.
Cool. I'm sorry, Jim. We interrupted you. What were you going to say?
No, I broke my rule, and I played some games while I've been developing another one. So we played One Night Ultimate Werewolf with a family, and it's the first time I played it, and I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah. It's the only social deduction game that works with 3 players that I've ever played.
Well, we played
Oh, I'm
with.
sorry, I'm thinking of Inquisition.
We played with 10 people, varied in age from 14 to 50s. Several of them were non-gamers. And after the first round, the first trial round, we used the phone app, the iPhone app for it, and it ran smoothly, and it was a lot of fun. We've been introducing our friends to it.
It's a good game. I like it a lot. It's one I am happy to pull out about any time. But One Night Ultimate Vampire, not so good in my opinion.
I thought that wasn't out yet.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if it's out in retail. I got my Kickstarter reward for it.
I
back.
think it
It's
just
out
got
in
released
retail.
into retail, actually. What's
Okay.
wrong with that one?
It's overly complicated, and it kind of ruins what's good about the werewolf one. It kind of was a big flop for us. We were just like, let's just play the other way again.
Did you play One Night with the expansion, the Daybreak?
Yeah, Daybreak's great. Did you have Daybreak, Jim?
Yeah, we played with Daybreak. And then
Okay.
since that, I just got in the mail the other day the bonus packs.
That's awesome. I've got the whole set in their wooden box. It's nice. It's a nice way to keep everything together. Like I said, Vampire's kind of a miss for me, so it is what it is. I've got the rest of it, and I don't need to crack out Vampire.
Has anybody played that mashup between the Resistance and One Night?
I own it and haven't played it yet. The feedback I've heard on it's not great, but I can't speak to it because I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, I was curious. One Night Resistance, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious. Okay.
Fair enough. Well, so does everybody got their room for Gen Con?
I do.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking Indianapolis can't handle
I think Lance
the
has
number of
his.
people. Yeah, I got a room.
So
What-
you're
what-
going then?
Well, no, it's a coin flip. I have a. I will
Better be
know
going or
by
I'm going to hurt you.
I will know by the time that whether or not the room I have has to be confirmed. I will know by then if I'm going or not. It's a lot of time off and it's a lot of money, but fate may conspire to make it so I will need to go. I'll just leave it at that. So.
Well, you have to let me know when if you guys are coming and who's coming, because I'd like to put together a special game of Zimby for you guys. I have a bunch of events running, and this year I only have to run one by myself, so I've got some free time.
I'm going
Yeah.
because it's an hour from my house.
Oh well, look at you, lucky you. No, I got your thing. It looks cool, man. I won't even make my Parcheesi comment because I know that upsets you.
Yeah.
No, it looks like it'll be a lot of fun.
I think it will be. I played the solo version today about a dozen times, and
It's a lot of playing
went
with
really
yourself, Jim.
smooth.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
just like how's your eyesight?
My hands are kind of hairy, but other
Yeah,
than
I was
that,
just gonna ask about your hand. Don't ruin the joke. Don't step on my touchdown call.
Yeah, so let me know who else is going to be there, and I'll set aside find an evening for you guys.
Count me out.
You're not going?
I have no urge to go to Gen Con. It's just too crowded. It's too expensive. I have no urge.
But it's not
But you
crowded.
got-
It's
but you
only.
You got your blood money now,
70,000
though. You
I'm going to Origins, maybe BBG. That's it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I gotta apply for my press badge for Origins.
Still waiting to hear about mine. Been a couple weeks.
They're probably not really overly concerned about making sure they get it taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah, but I have no urge to go to Gen Con.
You're too cool for school, or what?
I just, like I said, it's too expensive, too crowded. Yeah.
Man, Barry, why you gotta be such a downer?
Just my preference. Yeah.
I wonder if it'll hit 65,000 this year. It'll be close.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah, it hit 61.4 last year. So
I've heard stories of people taking, an hour to walk across a hall. It's
That's because they're stupid.
yeah.
But
Well,
they
go
did
ahead.
expand the vendor hall by like another 25% this year.
The big thing with it that drives me crazy with Gen Con isn't any of that. It breeds a very gamers in general. I think like the mentality is that we're all kind of we're all buddies and we all kind of feel the same way about stuff and about games and whatever, and we got a good attitude about it. But then you get to Gen Con, and especially that like first day when they open up the door and people are all but like knocking over their mothers to get in line for stuff, and it's just kind of like I don't know. It just seems to breed a bad mentality, which is bothersome to me on a certain level. But I don't know. I mean, this is gonna sound like kind of jerky on my part, but if I wasn't going there as like as somebody in like media, or as somebody that was like if I get
If you weren't a big deal, is that what you're trying to say?
no, if I wasn't going there as if I was just going there as just a fan of games and wanting to go check out the new stuff and everything like that, there's no way I'd go. Because like yeah, Paul just mentioned it perfectly. Gen Con is like not a great great place to play games. It just isn't. You know, it's just like, yeah, I mean, you can go find a spot in that horrible Gen Con library room.
Let me disagree with that a little bit, though. It is not a good place to go play open gaming. It is the best place to go play events.
Well, yeah, but you know, I don't want to do events. I mean, am I weird for that? I mean, it's just like
but there are thousands that do, because you look at the events and those things sell out like that when they go on sale, and they are packed.
But
and it's not just board games.
What game is it that's so amazing that they want to sign up for? I don't get that. I mean,
it's new games, it's tournaments. I mean, the Fantasy Flight stuff sold out every time. Like Arkham Horror games sold out every time.
It's not only that, but there's also a lot of people that sign up to play games that they don't get to play often with their friends, or games you need 5 or 6 people.
I mean, maybe I'm just super lucky that I have a large gaming group. Then, you know, I mean,
I think that is part of it. Yeah.
But I mean, because I don't get, like, it's one of those things where it's like, why would I sign up to go play Arkham Horror? I could probably get 4 people to play Arkham Horror right now at 9:30 p.m. to come over to my house and play right now if I seriously wanted to play a game of Arkham Horror. But also, why would I pay money to go sit in a room to play Arkham Horror? Am I getting like a free figure or something from?
No, you just want to play with a different group or whatever. I mean, there's people that go do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
So there's
I've got a buddy that does it.
There's a lot of people actually get into playing solo games because they don't have a game group that's available to them, or they only have 1 or 2 people that they play with, so they limit themselves to 1 or 2 player games. But with Gen Con, they can actually get together and play, even if they don't know the people, 5, 6, 7 people, and maybe learn to play a game a new way or have a different experience. The thing that I don't like about event gaming is that you've got to commit yourself to a time block, and that limits your flexibility. I'm more of a meanderer than I am a planner, and so that can kind of cut into it.
Speaking of solo play, if you haven't backed, if you like solitaire games, you simply have to back Nemo. But Victory Point Games, their Nemo Second Edition Deluxe. It's like less than a day left, but seriously, Nemo's War is probably it's the best solitaire game I have ever played.
Well, they got a co-op thing for it now, up to 4 players, I think it is.
So I need to watch their video before I go to bed to see if I want to try that, because I do like solo games.
You just buy it. I mean, I'm telling you
So
right now.
how much money do you make for every pledge they get, Lance?
I get $0. I get exactly $0. But if you look at all the cool things that they have, like, you know, there's even some Kickstarter exclusive stuff that, you know, really isn't all that great, but it's over the top produced, and it makes me happy to see the VPG, Victory Point Games, is like kind of becoming a bigger thing, because they're like this little publishing company that could, and I mean, seriously, they're just they're good.
Is it only solo?
Well, you just said there's like some.
Yeah, with this Kickstarter, they're unlocking. I think it goes up to 4 players. There's a co-op variant up to, I think it's 4 players now. It started off as 2, and now I think it's up to 4. It's the last update, if I remember the last update right. I did back it like a month ago when it first went up.
Yeah, I know it's yeah. I mean, I don't want to sit here and gush about it forever, but and I have the first edition that came in a baggie, like it literally didn't come in a box. Like Victory Point Games, because they print off all the stuff themselves, and so like and the pieces you get are actually like little pieces of wood that they laser cut out, and so and each game comes with a napkin, like literally like a napkin you'd put your drink on, that you're supposed to use to wipe down all the wooden pieces because it's going to have the ash from when the laser cut the wood. And so you wipe down all the pieces with that little napkin. It's like it says like Sir Wipes a Lot on it or something like that. And but no, like I literally got a baggie, that I paid like $30 for, and just because somebody said it was just like the best solo game ever, and it was, and I still busted out. It was kind of a return, and this is weird. If you played it, you'll understand. It was a kind of a return to B-17 Flying Fortress for me, but this was so much better. I mean, just because I remember sitting when I was young, I'd sit and play B-17 Flying Fortress over and over again, trying to see if I could get through 25 missions with my plane, and I never did it. I never succeeded, and I should do that. I should try again sometime. But yeah, highly recommended if you enjoy a solo game. I can only imagine they'll eventually do an app for it. You'd have to think they would. But who knows?
How expensive is it to make an app? Does anybody know?
No idea. And the weird thing about Victory Point games is like you almost never will see them for sale on another website. Like they sell them directly, and like I know Fun Again carries them every once in a while. I think I've seen them on Cool Stuff really rarely.
Well, like Thunder Road, though, everybody's carrying that, right? Isn't that them?
No, Thunder Road is
GMT.
GMT.
Never mind, got it wrong.
Yeah,
I knew it was one of those three initial things.
They had,
oh, you mean? Oh, wait a minute, Thunder Road. You mean the game I'm undefeated at?
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Didn't they have that Darkest Night?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I can't say it. Never mind.
I've seen that on Cool Stuff. I was thinking about picking it up.
Cool Stuff has carried a lot of Victory Point stuff, but it's all looked like it's out of stock now.
Well, that's because they print on demand. They don't pre-print, and they're like this cool company that like literally like there is no weird, there's no theme that they won't do. For lack of a better term, they have an excellent game that's like I think it's either just came out or it's coming out. It's about running a hospital. Healthy Heart Hospital is what it's called. And like if you look at the cover, it looks exactly like if you General Hospital look to the box, and yeah, it's just you running a hospital and trying to make sure, and it's a very Euro-y game, and VPG is like a lot of times VPG is known for like just being a war game. But that isn't just their thing. They have like some really cool, like Circus Train, great game, very very. Darkest Night is Darkest Night is easily one of my favorite co-ops. It's this cool aspect where in Darkest Night, like it's like a lot of other ones. There's a big bad that you have to take out, but in this one, the big bad actually kind of chases you down and fights you, and you can't defeat him until you manage to find these artifacts that'll let you defeat the Necromancer. And so, and there's like this cool thing where if you do too much good, the Necromancer takes notice of you, and like because you're way too because like basically the world has fallen. It's like picture like a world where Sauron has destroyed everything and taken over everything except for one little spot, where the heroes are. And when they leave and go out and move around the world and they do good things by killing monsters and things like that, the Necromancer figures out where they are and zeroes in on them. So you got to like then hide and not do anything for a while, so like you won't get attacked. It's a lot of fun. It's a good game. But I think they're gonna do another like second edition for that one too. But I mean, they just recently, and I played it once, and I got to play it again. But there's like somebody must have said, what if we made a giant economics game about running a military airplane factory in Germany during World War I? and I forget what the name of it is. It's just like, who thinks of that? Who says, I've got this idea for this game? Well, what is it? Oh, well, I really think it's interesting that, like, during World War One, if you were a German airplane manufacturer, just like, all right, run with it, go for it, and yeah, there you go.
Hey Jim, have you designed a co-op game?
Yeah, Shadows of Malice is a co-op game.
Is it okay? How hard is it to create an AI in a co-op game?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. My son was talking to me.
How difficult is it to create an AI in a co-op game?
I don't think it's difficult to create. I think the difficulty comes in trying to streamline it so that it's easy to run without thinking about it. And it depends on whether you want to use dice or cards. I'm a fan of dice, but a lot of people like to use cards.
Okay. All right, yeah, I was just curious.
Hey,
So the easiest thing to do is, are you familiar with influence diagrams or relevance diagrams at all?
No, not really.
hey, can I say one thing real quick here? And
yeah.
before I forget it, because I'll forget it. Weird anecdote. Kevin Wilson, co-creator of Arkham Horror, his degree is in artificial intelligence.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, isn't that cool? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so actually what I was going to say is you can make decision trees or influence diagrams to think about the outcomes you want and how to get there. And then it's not that difficult to create the equations that'll lead you there. The difficulty is making it seem logical from the perspective of the creature you're trying to run. So if you're trying to make a computer do AI, like you want to do a HAL type thing from 2001, you could use different mechanisms and have a different feel than if you're trying to make a general of another army try to do something. So the difficulty comes, I think, in if the AI you have it has powers that they can leverage. How do you determine what they use and what they don't use, versus if they're just basically moving pieces on a board, and it's a different sort of logic. But I think like if you're thinking about making a co-op game and you want to make an AI for it, the easiest way to do it, in my opinion, is to have somebody else play the AI and then try to boil down what they're doing.
Okay. Makes sense.
I was gonna say, I have Con of the North coming up here in, wow, it's like almost just a little over 2 weeks. Not even 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. Does anybody have any like small local conventions? Like, I mean, less than 1,000 people they go to?
Not I.
Yeah,
well,
we do, Keith. You should come up for it.
Well, not
Hoosier
that I
Con.
go to. That's the.
Yeah. Well, come up to HoosierCon. It's a small convention. It's free.
Okay.
Oh, it's free? You mean you'll fly me down and you give me a place to stay? And is that what you're trying to say?
No. Free means fair reception. Everyone in the evenings. Free.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I apologize.
No, HoosierCon's this tiny little con I got involved with last year for the first time. It's held at a local hotel by the airport. It's a weekend. There's no admission fee. You basically come up and play games. They've got a small vendor hall. There were last year, I think there were maybe a dozen vendors in it. It's kind of homey, kind of nice, and people just come to play games.
Well, it looks like it's coming up in April.
Yeah, I think it starts April Fool's Day this year, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, come on over to the con, yeah.
No, it really exists, honest.
No, seriously, no. It's the other hotel by the airport. Just go on the other side. Just go to the other side. You'll be fine.
So how big is Con of the North now?
Oh man, I'm the wrong person to ask. I mean, because once I drive up the day before, and I bring my entire family with me. So then, like, we get to the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. We get there. and then we kind of spend that first day. We go to the pool at the hotel and relax, and there's a Chinese restaurant that we love in the area that we go and we eat at, and then we'll like go to the Mall of America, maybe go to maybe head over to IKEA or whatever, just kind of bum around, and then like the next morning, I get up, have breakfast, and then I head in. I set up the board game room because that's what I'm in charge of. Their open gaming room, and I pretty much don't leave that room for 3 days. I mean, so I don't even see outside of the convention. And the funny thing is the open gaming room. This would be my 4th or 5th year running it, and it's the same like 25 people that I see in there every year. They don't, nobody else, like, they very rarely do they ever leave. And then like there's another, and because we can fit about 60 people in there, and then there's like the random coming and goings. Last year we had way more people than we ever had because I started doing game giveaways. So once you say, hey, free stuff, people start running over and wanting to get in on it, which is fine, whatever. But what is that noise?
Yeah, when we go to the circus.
Who's at the circus? Is that you, Jim?
No, my mic was open. My wife's practicing the piano.
Oh, let's everybody be quiet. Let's listen to Jim's wife play piano. Everybody be quiet.
She's we have this thing here in Indiana called ISMA, the Indiana
I
State.
didn't ask you to talk, Jim.
There it is.
Hey, Jim, are you on a desktop or are you on a laptop?
I'm on a laptop.
Do you think you could sneak over to
No.
where your wife is playing?
No.
Why not?
She gets so mad.
Well, how long have you been married?
25 years.
There's no way she's leaving you over this. No, zero chance.
So we have this thing in Indiana called the Indiana State School Music Association, and it's for kids in middle school and high school, and they compete against a rubric for music and voice. So my daughter is doing a voice and a French horn piece, and my wife is doing the musical accompaniment on the piano for it. So she's learning those pieces now.
Oh, it's very soothing.
And that's your bit of culture for the night.
I took like 10 years of piano lessons, so I can still belt out a few songs.
Yeah?
Yeah. My mother, she made me start taking them when I was 7 or 8. No, I was like 5 or 6. Because I remember once I got into high school, I stopped doing them. And she said, when you're old and you're in a retirement home, you'll be happy you know how to play piano. And I was just like, you might be right.
I think that's true. My son started taking piano lessons when he was 4.
Nice.
He's 18 now, and there was a time when he was 16 he could not walk past a piano without sitting down and play it. And it didn't matter what was in a music store or a hotel lobby or a friend's house.
There's still a couple of pieces that I had to learn and recite, do recitals and stuff that I can still play. I'll be damned if I remember the names of them, but I can sit down and play them.
That's great. It's really great.
Well, no, it is. I preferred playing bass guitar and my trombone more than anything.
Trombone, huh?
Yeah, I was a boner.
Still are.
I'm actually thinking about starting cello lessons this year.
Nice. I will still bust out my trombone every once in a while and play it. If I'm at my parents' house, if I see it downstairs, I'll crack it open and bust just there and goof around on it. It's weird if you like, and we're going off on a weird tangent here. I apologize, but when I played trombone, I started playing it when I was 10, and I played it like a lot, and up until I was about 21, 22. and I was in a really bad punk ska band, and then that was like when I wasn't in that band anymore. I didn't play the trombone anymore, and that was I stopped playing, and then like when I try to play it now, it's weird. It's like the word used is the embouchure of your mouth when you play, and it's just like it's weird. It's like if I play my trombone for like even an hour, my mouth just hurts from playing it. But I remember I used to be able to play trombone for hours on end because I just had trained myself to be used to it or whatever. The weird muscles in your lips or whatever that you're not used to using.
Yeah, it's an important thing. My son had to get a different mouthpiece for trumpet when he got braces, and then a different mouthpiece when he got his braces off.
That's completely true.
My son started trumpet this year, and so I haven't tried to play, a brass instrument for 25 years, and man, my lips were shot after about 2 minutes of trying to play that thing.
Well, trumpet's just so damn tough. I mean, it's just getting your lips pursed to that little, and then.
You know what? It was easy when you learned to play trumpet. Then when you switch and play tuba for 4 years, you can't play trumpet anymore.
Yeah, but you can play tuba.
Yeah. Tuba's cool.
Tuba was so easy, though. Other than the amount of air you had to put through the darn thing.
Our marching band show this last year featured a tuba solo.
If you look up the Canadian brass, the tuba guy does Flight of the Bumblebee on tuba. It's pretty impressive. And he gets it done in like less than 2 minutes. He's like, yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask you guys a question that has to do with an off-topic games. Mind if I ask?
Yeah. Well, what?
So, I'm working on a concept for a game to do with a friend of mine, and I want to ask your opinion. This is my initial phase of market research. So, there's two ways to go on this. It's a drug development game, and you can either build it as a simulation for people who like to do very realistic simulations and make it a market-based game, or put a skin on it, a science fiction skin, where you've got some sort of goal like fighting an alien disease or something like that. So I'd like to know your opinion on straight-up simulation versus some sort of sci-fi type skin.
What kind is it like a Euro game, or what type of game is it?
This would be hard to categorize. There would be some randomness involved. Basically, when you see whether or not your clinical trials succeed or fail, or whether or not your asset actually succeeds in going after the target it's designed to destroy or to help. But a lot of the randomness will be mitigated by your investment. Do you invest in science? Do you invest in marketing? Do you invest in getting a better initial molecule? Do you invest in being able to tailor it genetically and things of that nature? So in some sense, there will be a lot of strategic investment of, you could call them development points, but there's still a randomness involved. You could have the best tailored drug in the world, but there's still a chance it fails its clinical trial.
So I see you go in a different direction and just make it about making street drugs.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is this to actually make it a game, or is this something to like to use in a corporate world type of thing?
This would actually be a game.
I would go with the sci-fi theme. Just not, and I say this for two reasons. And this is a combo reason with two parts, I should say. I think it's a cool idea to have like to say, oh, here's my cool theme or whatever that like, and I really haven't seen a lot of things like this before. Like where you're marketing this drug or testing this drug and trying to like, for this purpose or whatever. Okay, that's cool. But the thing is that okay. Backing up just a little bit, if it's like a hobby project and something where it's just like, yeah, I just always wanted to make this and we can see what happens, great, fine, whatever, then that's what it is, and then you can just do whatever you want. If it's something where you actually want to like try to market it and try to actually, like at the very least, like support itself, so like the money and time you put into it actually result in like at least breaking even, then you have to tie it into a theme that people are going to be interested in. And unfortunately, I mean, it's just like, yeah, okay, you could say this is about drug trials and it's about researching new ways to cure this disease or whatever. Yeah, I mean, first of all, people are going to say, well, I already played Pandemic. It's just like you're going to get that result. And then, and also people are just like, well, that's just too real. I mean, I don't want to play a game that's like working at a job. I want to play a game where I'm, Zap Brannigan and I'm trying to fight the evil disease of planet Neptune. I mean, that's what it's the escapism quality of it. Plus, then if you're like, and if it's in outer space and stuff, you can have really cool art, and it can be neat looking and what have you. So that's my 2 cents.
But that would also get maybe lost in the tons of sci-fi games that are already out there too.
It would. I'll fully admit that that's. But the thing is that think of when you pull up like a splash page on like Cool Stuff or Miniature Market. I mean, if you have a game that's called Drug Trials, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, okay. But if you had a game that it's like the sinister disease of Planet X, you're gonna like, oh, sinister disease of Planet X, you say? What's this all about? And that's just that's what my gut says.
Just call it corporate drug magnate or something.
So being someone that works in pharmaceuticals, I really like the idea of one theme for real, but I don't think it will sell as well, right? But it intrigues me. But, Lance's first joke becomes an entertaining thing. If you twist it and you make it kind of, you are running an underground drug lab trying to get the new hot thing out there, it's a unique theme. It's kind of pushing the edge, but, I mean, it's no different than any other mafia or crime-based game. And so that's kind of an interesting concept as well. So I actually thought, the sci-fi is the best thing, but when I think about it, yeah, there's all sorts of sci-fi stuff out there, but a lot of people might want to be the drug kingpin. You never know, because what are games a lot of times about? Escaping what you can't do so that you can do it. And I don't know. It's probably not the right direction to go, but I would sure as hell try it.
I mean, there are other directions you could go. You could go with a whole type of eugenics type based game where you're playing different countries trying to develop the next Khan by genetically manipulating people. The thing that I was after was there seems to be a market that's interested in realistic simulations, whether it's a simulation of famous battles, whether it's a simulation of the railroad industry, whether it's a simulation of making wine or growing food. And what I'm wondering is whether or not a scientific simulation would be useful, because it would fulfill 2 purposes. First, it would be a simulation game for those players that are interested, which could be played cooperatively or competitively. And the second thing is it could be used as a learning tool in a corporate setting.
I'd have to echo Lance. If there is groups out there who's are specific with their simulations, but they're very small. War gamers are dying off. You hear that all the time. If you want to make money, I'd go with like a sci-fi theme or something that'll draw a mass of people in instead of just specific groups. Even the corporate or teaching level games, they're not going to pull the money in you would with a mass audience.
But isn't the whole thing is who are you making the game for? Are you making it to have a game that does what you want it to do, that relays the theme that you want to relay with a proper simulation, or are you going to change it? I'll give you a great example. The game just came out called Commissioned. It is a game where it's basically about the beginnings of Christianity. It takes place, in the time period after Jesus has already gone and everything, and the disciples are going around trying to establish the church. So it's kind of like sort of like a pandemic feel, because you're moving around, you're trying to basically build churches in certain areas, and things are going to happen to make the churches in those areas go away, and you have to go back in, and basically you have to fill the entire area with these cubes that represent the churches and everything. I got to play it when it was a prototype, and when I sat down to play it, and the person who designed it was explaining it to me, as soon as he started saying, it has a Christian theme and all this, my mind went, oh my God. No pun intended. I was like, wow, this is going to be, there are other games there that are based in religion, but most games that I've played prior that were Christian games are very preachy and everything. So I played the game. The game is not preachy at all. The game is an excellent game. And afterwards, we were talking, back and forth, and I said, look, if you bring this to anyone to get this to publish, they're going to make you change the theme.
Right.
And I know he didn't want to change the theme. And I said, well, here's an idea. Rather than having it be the Christian church, and I know it's a play theme, but you could have it being like Cthulhu, and you're like, instead of being spreading the church, you are the cultist, and you're trying to spread, that type of church. And yes, it would probably work better for the mass audience, but it's not what the game is about. So are you trying to necessarily make the most money, or are you trying to put the best thing out there?
No, Anthony, I think that you're very wise in your comments, and I do believe that for this particular structure I'm looking at, it is to basically highlight the strengths and limitations and mechanisms for doing biological research. And in terms of targets, the target would be slight margin over break-even financially, just to make it worth doing. But this is the kind of thing where it certainly would not have a mass appeal because there's too much thought that needs to go into playing it. This would be a game where you're going to have to sit down and you're going to have to really say, I'm going to think hard for 2 hours to play this game. So it would be very niche.
Right, but there are other games that are very niche as far as that goes. I mean, even a game like Food Chain Magnate or Magnate, however you're supposed to pronounce it, it's maybe a little more approachable theme, but that's a thinking game. It's not about I'm going to open up a burger joint. No, it's like it's an economic game. There's a structure behind it. You have to figure marketing and all this stuff. So I mean, that's not a game where you sit there and go, oh well, everyone's going to want to play this game about opening their own burger place and their own pizzeria. It sounds like it's a really approachable for everyone kind of thing, but in the end, it's not. So, even though your game is geared towards people who have an interest in that, and again, using it as a marketing tool, if the mechanics are sound and it has that stuff in it that those people who like those heavier games with a lot of moving parts and a lot of decisions to make, they'll gravitate to it. You don't need to make the game, for everyone. People talk about, just throw zombies in it, and you don't have to do that. If zombies work in it, then fine. But I mean, you don't have to sell out to sell out.
You've got to make that into a tagline and print it on stuff. You don't have to sell out to sell out. I like it.
Well, that was like when Metallica first got accused by their some of their fans of being of selling out. I'm like, yeah, we sell out every single night.
Now, would this game work with another theme? Do you think, or you haven't tried it?
Well, basically, the game itself will be a simulation of drug development, and it will basically be players trying to optimize their portfolio and making decisions such as, do I specialize in one area like like cardiovascular, or do I diversify? Do I work with another company or work alone kind of thing? The only reason I was thinking about a sci-fi type of skin on it was that you can step away from conventional science and cluster things together. And you could also put a time pressure on it. So, for example, in a regular simulation game, you could theoretically play until everyone decides game is over and then see who's got the most money, let's say. Or you could put some sort of termination on it, some sort of consistent type of doom clock where you say, it's an alien virus that mutates every turn, and you have to develop drugs to counter its manifestations in the different body systems. And if you can't do it within so many turns, the human race is wiped out. That would be sort of the science fiction theme. But that would, again, simply be a mechanism to limit the playtime, so that people, if they're going to cooperate, do so fast and furiously. If they're not going to cooperate, they think differently than if I have all this time when I can play the game.
Or you could
Did
just
I
do
answer your
real
question,
world.
Barry?
And your time constraint is being first to file a generic drug in order to be able to make any money.
Yeah.
Right. 'Cause
Yeah.
if you look at a game like Predator that came out from
Hey, get down.
yeah.
Down. Leave the dog alone.
Jim, get down. So Predator, when it it's based on building a fashion line to go show at Fashion Week. They are, at some point, if they ever redo it, Ignacio said that they're going to do it about the video game industry.
Right. It's
the same game. Is the video game industry more appealing to people? Maybe, not merely to me. Is being a fashion designer and stuff my thing? Not necessarily, but I think the game, the way it plays, it really isn't that big a deal that it's about something that I'm not necessarily interested in, for what it is on the surface. So changing it just for that, you could. I mean, there's nothing saying you can't make the game with that theme that you want, and then maybe revisiting it like a year later and re-releasing it with that other theme on it. That's more of the popular theme.
Yeah, I guess my druthers is to make it mechanically compelling, thematically sound, and understand and design it for a smaller group of people who would appreciate it for what it is, rather than try to glom on by throwing zombies in, for example.
So, is the game to be designed for serious, heavy gamers?
Yes.
Then go with the natural theme of drug design and development, because those people will dig it for the realism and they will enjoy getting crunchy, right? They don't need the paste on thing. You don't need to go sci-fi unless it's a more accessible game. Because if the game is so heavy that it's not that accessible anyway, you might as well go with the theme that it's designed to work with.
True.
And that's all you need. I would buy the game even if it ended up being too heavy for me, because of the theme in this case. But that's because of my industry. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, and the thing that I need to worry about, as you well know, is that there has to be enough of a fantasy science fiction type element to remove any threat of litigation. Right? You can't say this about your industry, or you work in the industry, therefore you can't say this. So there's got to be a bit of abstraction that goes along with it. But other than that, I think I'm leaning toward your comment, Keith. I think that just making it work right is better than sacrificing the rightness of it. I'd hate for someone to pick up a box, open it up, and say, "This is not what I thought it was going to be.
Right. So is it development only, or is it development through clinicals and regulatory and all that good stuff?
It's going to be all that good stuff. It's going to be basically, in a nutshell, Keith, you'll be able to invest in targets and go into preclinical, and then as you get the preclinical results, you can then think about adding in more research and development to try to take it into the clinic, then into the market, or into regulatory submission, and then into the market.
So
And
for
of course,
regulatory submission, you need to make sure you have dice that completely randomize what they're going to decide they want to do, because it really needs to simulate the FDA so that it reflects the complete randomness of which reviewer you happen to get at the agency.
Whoa! If it's the FDA, it doesn't mean you have to like bribe somebody or make sure that you.
No. It's just completely random.
Oh no, I've heard that the FDA is completely corrupt. So.
we're back to conspiracy theories again.
Well, when you merge money and politics, there is going to be a conspiracy.
I don't find the FDA to be corrupt. I find the FDA to be the reason drugs are really expensive.
Yeah.
Well, the FDA doesn't. The FDA has a different risk attitude than patients, physicians, and consumers.
Yes.
That's really what it comes down to, I think. But Keith, in answer to your question, there will be an element in the game that has to do with political desires and reactionary desires. So, for example, in the game, if suddenly cardiovascular is really a big deal, then there will be some higher probability of getting something approved that's cardiovascular. But if the market's flooded, it will be more difficult.
So can I go after an orphan drug to make sure I get a nice, easy approval, even though I'm not going to make quite as much money on it?
Sure.
Sweet.
You might not want a portfolio of orphans, though.
No, but yeah, that's for all things. But I actually work with a company that specializes in orphans, and they told me they have one drug that they make for 7 people in the world. That's an orphan drug, buddy.
That's really orphan. That's really orphan. All right, well, listen, I don't want to monopolize the conversation, so thank you guys for your input. I'll keep you posted.
Cool.
Yeah, sorry for getting even nerdier than normal.
No worries. Hey, when did Paulie Walnut show up?
He's been there for like 20 minutes.
He was there before you left.
Doing his best Unabomber impersonation?
Yes.
It's a little cold in here. It's like 62.
62.
Quit your
That rolls it where you were, Lance. It was 20 degrees when I went out last time.
We actually had a pretty mild day today. It was like 18. So, Anthony, we were just, look who's here. The Grand High Poobah of Tasty Minstrel Games. Michael Mendez. I don't know if you can hear us yet. I don't see a picture.
I can hear you.
Yeah, he must have a game on Kickstarter.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Where's your pretty face?
I see my pretty face, so I don't know what your guys' problems are.
If you don't get your video working, I'm inserting our own video for you.
All right. You see me now?
Stock photo of.
Do you see me now?
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Oh, he's still got the beard. Good deal.
Oh wow, he does not look like Haley Joel anymore.
Hey.
Yeah, I lost some weight or something.
Yeah, and gained it all back in beard.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, are you gonna hit that 400K for your for the metal coins?
I'm planning on it, man.
I have to say, when I saw that, I had to laugh.
Why are you laughing?
Well, I mean, if you hit it, that'd be amazing. Trust me, and for more reasons than one, and you can read between the lines there. But I mean,
Right.
but I did like the idea that like you worked out it would take $426,000 for it to be viable for you to include metal coins with Thieves Market. But you're gonna.
I thought that was unreasonable, so
you lowered it to $400,000 for the metal coins.
Here's a sad, pathetic thing.
Magical things happen when you have lots of people. and you put something out there for a while.
Yeah.
At this point, I have metal coins coming out of my yin yang where I don't need metal coins to come with this game. However, I want them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, then you don't have to borrow them from other games.
Right, but it's just like if a game has metal coins, it gets a full point rating for me for some reason. It's just like, but the game's garbage, but it's got these awesome metal coins, right?
Right. So it's
this
rated
game
a
is
4.
1.
Now, does that change the gameplay for you? Like, I heard some people
It does
say,
change the gameplay for me.
yeah.
Keith's easily amused.
No, but I heard some people say, if they have something metal representing gold, it feels like they're actually playing with gold or something like that.
It improves the immersion in the game. Unless the game is complete garbage, then it does nothing. And then you throw the game away and you keep the metal coins.
Nice. So I didn't realize you had taken off, Anthony, and I made sure that I tried to bait the hook with the idea that Gen Con housing being all screwed up and how they needed to move it, but then you weren't there to respond. So then I was upset. So.
Oh.
Well, but we are in agreement, right? That we need to Gen Con needs to move because Indy can't handle it anymore. There's just not enough.
On my next episode of my podcast, we did this last night. I went on a tirade, and that's why the next episode is called "Suck It Up, Buttercup," because it's just a lot of whining and people just thinking that everyone's there to cater to them. Yeah, you've been going for 20 years and you got a room downtown for all 20 of those years. You didn't get one this year. Then don't come. If that's the one thing holding you back, stay the fuck home. I don't care.
Here, Muffs.
Well put.
It's true. So, Indianapolis, this is a fact, not just crap I'm making up because I live in Indiana, has more connected hotels than any other city in the United States.
And also...
That sounds made up.
And also, they... if you decided on Wednesday morning before Gen Con that you wanted to go, you can call one of the hotels by the airport and get a room. You can
Or
call
on the west side,
on the west side,
on the north side, on the south side.
There are hotel rooms to be had, and they're not jacked up prices. You just have to drive in 15 minutes. But if you went to the convention center in Chicago, you have to drive 15, 20 minutes to get there. If you are having it at the Javits Center in New York City, and you stay at the hotels that the people stay at who go to the Javits Center, you have to take a bus across town, and that takes 15 to 20 minutes easily. So suck it up, Buttercup. They're not there to cater to you.
Well, but okay. Well, here's I understand what you're saying, but here's my counter argument is that the parking. I mean, you say okay, yeah, you just stay at one of those hotels and you drive in. Well, okay, so if you have a car, finding a spot to park it is next to impossible.
It is not.
It's not impossible.
There's tons of event parking around there.
But it costs.
You're not in a car to go look for it.
But what does it cost? What does it cost?
Uber's less than the parking.
Yeah, max is $20 a day.
There's Uber, there's taxis, there's shuttles, there's everything that gets you downtown.
Yeah, and you can find really decent, inexpensive lots 4 blocks away. You just might have to walk a little bit.
Yeah.
Exactly. Why we got saving on the hotel, pay for the parking. Yeah.
If you stay at the hotel, you have to pay for the parking.
Yeah.
And it costs
And
more
the
than
hotel parking is way more than the event parking.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's nice to stay next to the downtown where you can walk. But you know what? If you can't, and that's the thing that's holding you back, then stay home. Don't complain about it. Stay home.
But you are not going to get it any better in Chicago, Vegas, Boston, or anywhere else. You're going to be.
I disagree on the Vegas part.
Yeah, Vegas.
There's so many hotel rooms and free parking around the convention.
But Vegas isn't going to shut down for Gen Con. Vegas doesn't shut down for anybody. They're going to give the rooms to the people that are going. They're not going to block off those hotels.
Here's the thing about Vegas.
They don't have to because they're the same price year round, pretty much.
But Vegas isn't going to discount. They're not going to block rooms for that. They're going to have to get rooms.
But for Vegas to take a show like Gen Con, half of Gen Con has to go away. And that half is the events. All the event stuff goes away because they have to change it to the Gen Con board game trade show. Once you put the word trade show on anything in Vegas, they will take you. You can be the Undertakers Association trade show. You could be whatever. You put trade show because in their eyes, the trade show closes at 6 o'clock. And then from 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock the next morning when it opens, they have you. And you're going to go and you're going to gamble. And you're going to go and drink. And you're going to spend money. They don't want people who are paying their one price to get into Gen Con sitting around playing board games and not putting any more money in their pockets.
Exactly.
I don't care how slow it is in Vegas. They'd rather get 10 people who are going to lose 10 grand at the table
But
than
that's just
100
it.
people who are going to spend the same 10 grand.
Have you read recently? People aren't going into Vegas and gambling anymore. They just aren't. It's just people are going there for the shows, and people are going there for the events and things like that.
Yes,
But people aren't going to the shows if they're playing board games.
Well, that's just it, though. But I agree with that. But the thing is that Vegas could work. It really could. And the thing is that gamers, I don't know. I personally believe gamers would actually probably gamble more, in my opinion.
I don't think it'd be economical for a continent to move.
We're bitching about spending $200 for a hotel room downtown. We're not going to gamble.
Whoa, you could win more.
But a room's cheaper than $200 in Vegas for a convention that size.
Again, you're not going to have that type of a setup going into Vegas. It's not going to happen. Plus, you see those guys and those rascals, they're going to kill over in that Vegas heat in August.
Well, guys, I got to say goodnight. Thank you for a stimulating conversation, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
The reason Gen Con is doing so well is because it is catered to by that entire downtown area.
They
nobody
love
else
us.
is going to do it.
Yeah.
Downtown loves us.
Other places may eventually do it, but you're not going to ever have the convenience. Do you want to carry 2 bags full of expensive merchandise on an Indianapolis bus or a Chicago bus?
They're board games. They don't realize the people who are going to take it. They don't realize it's expensive.
Well,
what
they're
are
just
they
going
gonna
to
do?
carry 2 big bags full of
They're
stuff.
going to math trade it later.
But
They're not going to know what it is. They just know it's a lot of stuff.
The other thing is everyone's talking about, well, now it's time for them to do a second Gen Con. Gen Con West, they did one before and it didn't work. But here's the thing. Here, Michael's here. Michael, how many conventions can you afford to go to a year as a company?
Well, now that we're successful, a bunch, but we don't want to.
Well, that's the whole thing. So this is my thing. So say you get the whole thing of, all right, we'll keep doing Gen Con where it is. And then we'll do a Gen Con West in California or Seattle or whatever. And we'll do a Gen Con East. That's 3 conventions that you have to go to.
You mean like they did that flopped? And
Well, you mean like PAX?
Yeah, but my point is, are you going to be able to go to all of them? Yeah, if you're Asmodee, you can go to as many as you want. But unless you're successful, like Tasty Minstrel Games, you can't go to all of those things. It costs money to send your stuff to the West Coast, to the East Coast, back. So at that point, if there's 3 of them and they're each drawing the same number of people, based on the fact that you're in Utah, Michael, you would probably be going to the West one,
the one that's in Utah for sure. Yeah.
So it's
or the one that's in Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not going to be, okay, I'm going to go to the one that's in Boston, and then I'm going to go to the one that's in San Diego, and then I'm going to do the one in Indianapolis, and then I'll do the one in Dallas because, we'll have to have a South.
And I'm going to spread all my releases out to make it worth people going there to spend their money on it.
Oh, and then I have to make more games. Oh, this is just bad news.
But maybe you'll get 400 grand for the metal coins.
Hey, that solves all my problems.
But it's like everyone thinks it's so simple. Now, they're like, there aren't enough rooms. So there are, I don't know how many hotels are downtown. So let's just take one hotel. So let's say one hotel has 400 rooms. It's a big hotel. They have 400 rooms.
Okay.
of the 400 rooms, they don't take the 400 rooms and say, okay, here, Gen Con, this is your housing block. No, they take a percentage of that. 20%, 25% of them, and say, here, this is what you get. Because they know they could rent rooms to people outside of the block. They also have to understand that even though we take over downtown Indianapolis, there's other things going on. At JW Marriott 2 years ago, there was a wedding. Everyone from the wedding was staying there. Because I know they were in the lobby. The bride came down all dressed up. All the bridesmaids were there.
And she realized she made the worst wedding planning decision in her life.
But they can't. I mean, we shut down the city and we control stuff, but they can't really shut everything down and just for us. Now, if there was a convention center that was built in somewhere outside of Indianapolis, like in that same region, like a small town, someone like built a big convention center and all these hotels came and that's all they did was conventions and that thing, then sure, you can give up all the rooms for that.
They call that Las
But you
Vegas.
can't. They have the rooms for, they have a block for the people who actually run Gen Con. True Dungeon has their own room block. They already have their rooms assigned to them at the Crown Plaza. But they have their own people. They have a block of rooms for all the VIGs. They have a block of rooms for all of the big sponsors. Then they have to have a block of rooms for all of the folks who are showing there. And then for those, they probably use some calculation to figure out how many rooms they need to hold for them. And it's probably based off of how much of actual retail space there is. So say you have a 10 by 10 booth. That's the smallest you can get there. And they say, well, 10 by 10 booth is 2 people. That's X. And then we put 4 people in a room, so that's half a room that they're going to hold off in the block. But they don't know that Michael's got maybe 7 or 8 people working for him in his booth. But that booth may be they only count when they figure the block for 4 people. He may have 8 people. So now that's double what is technically allotted for and counted for him. So how do you factor that in? You can't hold off rooms for people forever. I go to a convention. I'm going to a convention in a couple weeks in Massachusetts. It's a small convention. The hotel gives them a block, and it sells out right away because they can't give up all of the rooms for us. Even though we take over the whole ballroom and half of the lobby, they still have to be open for regular business for people who are traveling, business travelers and people coming in for weddings or whatever. They can't just give us everything. So we have a good chunk of what's there, and you can still get rooms downtown at some point in a few months. You just have to be patient. If that's what you need, then keep checking. You can find them.
I like to say this. I mean, what you're saying. Okay, I get what you're saying, but I mean, conversely, the Con of the North, which I'm going to, the hotel that we're at, it's not a small hotel. It's huge, and they give Con of the North every single room.
What else do you have by Con of the North? I'm saying facetiously. I just don't know where it is based on what's.
Well, it's in Minneapolis. I mean, and like this hotel is. I mean, it's just it's it's I can forget the name of it because it moved from this Holiday Inn that was at. And now it's in like I can't remember the name of it now. This is the 2nd or 3rd year that they've been at this new place, and yeah, I mean, like last year they didn't have the entire hotel room and they had people begging for rooms, and then this year they just gave the whole thing to the convention. They just knew that they were going to have the entire place filled up and the people are going to eat. There's like a strip mall and Cub Foods, which is like just a chain of grocery stores that's like fairly close. But other than that, there isn't like really a restaurant nearby or anything, so everybody eats there. And everybody, and they make a ton of money off of the people. They have a excellent all-you-can-eat pasta bar, and that's quite tasty.
Yeah, but I think Gen Con's a little different. I mean,
Well, Gen Con is different, but Gen Con is, I mean, like that one year, what was it, 3 years ago or 4 years ago, where I couldn't sleep at night because the goddamn motorcycle club was going like all night long, like literally 3 in the morning, and you're.
Well, look at it this year. They're moving True Dungeon into Lucas Oil Stadium, which means Lucas Oil Stadium is not having an event.
Right.
So there's no pre-season NFL game. There's no One Direction concert this year. right? But there were a lot of people in town for those things the past 2 years.
Throw them out. Throw them out.
Yeah, it's true.
Every single room in every single hotel just for Gen Con, nothing else, and everybody will be fine.
So let's do that. No, let's propose that. Now here's the thing that I'm going to throw out there. If they gave up every single room in every single hotel that's connected, here's the criteria. You can get one of those rooms if you come in on this day and you check out on this day, and that's it. Because that's the other thing. They have rooms blocked off, and you have to stay over a minimum of Saturday and a certain number of days. But you have people who come in on Thursday and leave on Sunday, and then you have people like me who come in on Tuesday and leave on Monday.
Why do you go on Tuesday?
Because I drive in. So I get there Tuesday night, sometime around 7 o'clock. I go and we go to the Tilted Kilt, and then Wednesday morning I'm in the dealer hall.
Yeah, but I mean,
and then Sunday comes, the dealer hall closes, we go back to the hotel, we pack our stuff up, we play a couple games, we get something to eat, we get a night's sleep. Monday morning we check out, we drive back home.
That's just such an insane amount of time to be there. I don't get it. I mean,
but see, that's the whole thing. It's just me.
I mean, okay, this is just my feeling, and you can say I'm a moron for saying this, but yeah. So you're spending 2 extra nights basically in comparison to what I would if I go to Gen Con. I fly in Wednesday morning, I leave Sunday evening. That's the way I do it. You're staying 2 extra nights at a hotel room at $200 a night, like on average, is what the price is. For that $400, why not just get a plane ticket?
Because getting a plane ticket requires. I don't live near the airport. So that requires me driving an hour and a half to the airport.
You live an hour and a half away from an airport?
I live an hour and a half away from an airport that would get me to Indy without having to fly around the country.
Your wife doesn't love you enough to drive you to the airport?
No, that's even if someone drives me. Okay, that's an hour and a half drive, and you got to get there early to go through all the TSA nonsense.
Oh, because that's so tough.
Well, you have to just get there early just to be there, and then you sit there and wait, and then there's no direct flights from LaGuardia Airport to Indianapolis. So you either have to fly to Chicago or fly to St. Louis and then get a connecting flight to fly to Indianapolis.
Which isn't that big of a deal.
Okay,
but
then anything I get, I have to pay to ship back home, which means I have to find somewhere to ship it and get it out and have everything in order. This way I just store it in the car and I drive it back home with me.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I mean...
And since he's traveling with multiple people, that's where the cost savings go in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't imagine driving in. Yeah.
Oh, how far are you in? Like 12 hours?
It's, the drive is like 14 it comes 14. Out to be. Yeah. But, 3 of us driving and we stop along the way and we, bullshit the whole way out. I mean, driving home's a lot harder. That's why we don't leave on Sunday. Like, we could leave on Sunday. We've talked about it, like, leaving on Sunday and, like, just driving just into Ohio and just staying at a hotel there. It would save us probably $100. But, we still got to pack everything up and go. So, but let's just stay there. We're here. And there's people always staying in town. A lot of the vendors are still in town on Saturday night. So we hang out with people from, some of the publishers we hang out with on Sunday night.
Like Michael Mendez.
Well, I don't hang out with Michael. Michael's.
I go there. I work. I get tired. I go to sleep. I mean,
Michael's like way up
to go there and sell stuff. Yeah.
Well, okay. From your perspective, Mr. Mendez, you will go. You have a crew, right?
Yes.
But you fly him in, right?
I probably will fly this year because we put 4 in a car.
Okay. You have enough minions to drive stuff now, so you don't have to.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's not an extra seat, so I'll fly.
Oh, you'll have to suffer.
That'll save me 4 days.
This is a weird question. So a lot of the places, like, and not just the big guys, not just me. I mean, I know, like, a lot of them, they have their stuff shipped to Gen Con for them. And
our stuff is shipped to Gen Con.
Okay, you ship yours to Gen Con. It isn't like
we drive people, not stuff.
Okay, you don't pack up a U-Haul or something and bring it in. So just before I have you ever had stuff not show up when you shipped it? Like it didn't get there on time?
No.
Okay, because I remember like every year there's like one that are like, yeah, they
No,
can't
we
find my
ship it in.
pallet
We
of
ship it
whatever.
into it in advance to a warehouse. I mean, if it's not going to show up, it's because we managed to not get it shipped out from the manufacturer in time, not
Hey,
because we screwed up on getting it delivered.
What did you think of that like 110 degree dealer hall room on Wednesday last year?
I thought it was pretty awesome.
That was like the most ridiculous thing I'd ever.
It was
Walked into
10,000 degrees in there. It was ridiculous.
It was
Hey,
like
I'm from the desert. So,
it was like they. I thought the heat was on. Honestly, it was
it
that
did
crazy.
feel like that.
And I heard some rumor that like it was like 1 or 2 degrees lower than what they needed it to be before they would turn on the air, but they weren't going to do it because all the bay doors were open, and they would just be like shoveling money out the door, turning on the air conditioning. But that's one of those like rumors that it sounds too good to be true kind of thing. No, I mean, so you have your Minions drive, and you drove last year, right?
Yeah, and the year before that.
And how long is it? Well, how long is the drive from Utah?
It's 23, 24 hours. So we do it over 2 days. I have to look back at the viability of it as far as financially, because we're right on that border. But I think it ends up being better to do that than pay for everyone to fly.
And you see,
but it's not much, and then again, the time, I don't know. I have to think about it.
And vendors, they haven't released the vendor block for hotel rooms yet, right?
That's right. Well, I think so. I don't know. I have people for that.
Well, and that was a giant CF last year too. So I don't know. That's the thing that stuns me is that there's like the people that are paying them money to like.
Well, I figured they would have at least one hotel room set aside for each individual vendor, and it wasn't going to be this mad rush. And so when they opened it up, and 3 hours later, when I looked, oh yeah, we sold all those. What? What? We have.
It sounds like you needed a person for that last year too.
We're giving you $10,000 for booths, and you couldn't set one aside, huh? Yeah.
How far out were you last year? Like 15 minutes?
Yeah, whatever, something like that.
Were you taking an Uber every day or what?
No, we had the car because we drove.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe you
Some
can
people
sleep in the
took
booth.
Yeah.
Take a tent.
Hey, Thieves Market's making you some money right now, though.
Yeah, I suppose so. It's doing good.
Looks good. Even the disturbing first player marker.
Disturbing.
You do realize what that looks like, right? You're a grown man, right?
If you're not sure, go over to the Boob Quest Kickstarter and see what
And
one
there
of
is
the
a
cards
picture
is.
that looks like that. Yeah.
No, I don't know.
I'd like to think that we aren't like
The only children.
yeah, like the only people that are. It's a nice purple though. So, is that glow in the dark or?
It just looks like a person with a pointy head.
He is truly innocent.
I really don't know what you guys think it looks like.
Yeah. I don't even know how to approach it. It looks like an insertable. Does that work?
I'll just put it in the chat.
I have heard what you've said now.
Okay, thank you. No, so do you think you have any shot, honestly, of hitting 400,000?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, I do have a serious.
Thank you, Bill Belichick for Do I need to actually like extract an elucidation?
Okay,
on that?
let's see. Here, let me get some stuff from the past here. Okay.
Because you've already got 3,272 backers, which is awesome. That there's 3,200 people that wanna own your game or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they get free Mayday sleeves with it, huh? Cool.
They do through Thursday.
Awesome.
It's
So
an early bird thing. So this is why I think that it can happen. Okay. Number one, this is the best project we've ever had as far as number of backers over the first 2 days. Okay. Hardware worked out very well for the first 2 days. Better on the first day, worse on the second day. Our momentum has not dropped off from the first day. Looking at KickTrack, as of the last time this updated, which would have been 40 minutes ago, we had 2,002 backers on the first day, 1,285 on the second day, which is not a significant drop off, which is important. Tomorrow, additionally, we've been advertising fairly heavily to our own audience via Facebook ads on BGG. We're generating general awareness. Tomorrow, I will be emailing everybody on the TMG newsletter again. Say, hey, this is the last day to get free sleeves, so jump on board, right? The front end results are super important for the total success because more people, more excitement, less skepticism around potentially getting to 400,000, and when you get a magical thing happens when you get enough people who are actively engaged in something, who really want something to happen, and they know that it's out there from the beginning. You get a certain number of them will say, oh, this is possible earlier, and start to really help you get there. And then eventually people will be like, oh, we can do this. And that we can do this, if it's going to happen, needs to happen by the what is that? The 9th. February 9th, 3 days before it finishes. Or is that the 10th? Whatever. And I think that's possible based on what's going on right now. That, and the very simple answer, KickTrack says I'm trending to 545,000, so that must be right.
Well, so I mean, basically at
and it's a shorter project, so it's not as inflated, that the trending stuff, and we haven't dropped off much on that from yesterday.
But you'll need, obviously, it'd be a lot of backers, which would be really cool if you pulled it off.
23,000 backers.
Yeah.
Or 23,000 units, assuming everyone pays 17.
Yeah.
It's a lot. We have free shipping anywhere in the U.S. or anywhere on the planet except for Brazil. They have to pay $6 because.
Is that because it costs extra to shave it?
To shave it? No, I don't even know what that means. But it costs extra to send replacements, which happens often in Brazil, and the shipping cost is a little more expensive anyways.
That and the Brazilian postal service is well known for being...
Hence the replacements.
Corrupt. Or at least inept.
Well, I watched a video that sold me on the game, so I backed it as soon as I watched the video, so it looks cool.
Was it some well-bearded man?
It was actually yours. Yeah, I actually watched one of yours this time.
You finally watched one of my videos. That's awesome.
I heard it was surprisingly concise, but I haven't watched it.
I haven't watched as many lately, but I watched 3 of your videos yesterday. So
wow.
I haven't watched as many videos lately.
I'm sorry.
So if anyone watching doesn't know why they would want metal coins, just...
Yeah, that's why. Listen to that.
And if the coins are even close to the coins that came in the Orleans Deluxe, you really need to get metal coins.
But
Yeah,
you know what?
they're going to be manufactured by the same people because Panda. Well, we have a different. Panda is not making this game. They are sourcing the metal coins for us if we get to that. So it's going to be the same manufacturer of those.
Would you ever like consider like just stop it? Would you ever consider having
Just being like, we're not going to make it, and making a $24 version that included it, something like that.
well, no, I mean just maybe like
I'd
getting the
consider
coins and like maybe having it as something they can buy on your website or something.
Yeah, I'm not interested in selling accessories.
I did find out that you can get metal coins for as cheap as like a hundredth of a dollar each.
They go up pennies.
Yeah, which is why I laugh at us gamers so much because we use metal coins every day, but we want special ones in our games, and I'm guilty.
Yeah, that's a good plan. If I could drop that funding level and put pennies in. That would.
I remember God, who was it? I remember I was playing a prototype of somebody's, and he had these really cool metal coins. And I was like, these are really cool. Where'd you get these? And he said, like, basically they were, like, metal coins from European countries that basically were super weak versus the dollar. And he just was able to, like, he found, like, he would literally buy the coins. He could buy $15 plus $5 for the shipping, and he could just get like a giant sack full of whatever small European, like Latvia, whatever, like pennies basically, because it was, and that's what he used.
The
I've
5
got a
yen
Japanese
coins are very cool.
What was that there, Michael?
5 yen coins are very cool. Sorry, I talked over someone else.
No, you're
as well.
I've got a bag of Japanese coins that I've put in games before that I got really cheap. So
Yeah.
as long as they're not
5
American
yen.
money, they're cool.
5 yen, it's like 3.5 cents.
There was a guy that I may have told the story, and I apologize for that, but a guy who learned like metallurgy and how coins were made because he wanted to try to make his own poker chips. Like, not poker chips. He wanted to learn how to make his own. Like to basically get you to spend the money when you go to a casino, you ask for their coins so that you put the coins in the slot machines. This is before you just walked up and fed it dollars, and did the whole thing. And so like he wanted to like make his own, like the high roller coins that were like $5 coins or whatever. You and then you'd put them in the slot machines and spin it. And so like he studied metallurgy, and he figured out the different composites of the different metals that were in each one, and then he wanted to go and try to find that metal, those alloys, and he couldn't find them anywhere because they were smart enough to realize that somebody would try to do that. But he searched and searched until he finally found like a couple of countries who had coins that weren't exact, but they were very, very close to the alloys that they used in those things. And so he did the whole thing where he bought currency, and then he melted down those coins, and then he took one, made a cast, and sat there, and he kept trying to make them, and he kept failing and failing and failing, until finally he actually succeeded. And like he walked into a casino, took one of his own coins that he made, put it in a slot machine, pulled the thing, and it worked. And then he went home and he made a bunch of these coins, and he was like for the first very beginning, he actually would gamble with them. And then he eventually win some money, and then he realized that he was being stupid, and he should just go in there and gamble for a while, and then just take a bunch of these $5 coins, like take 500 of these $5 coins, and then cash them in, because the casino didn't know any better, and then just take the cash that they gave him, and And so and the thing was is eventually the casinos caught on because they were only giving out so many of these coins, or they only had so many of these coins, but they had way too many of them, and they were like, this is, we don't have this many coins, and so they couldn't figure out who was doing it because the guy wasn't dumb. He was only turning in like 50 or 100 at a time. He wasn't doing it, and he was like making sure he wasn't going in there every day. He was like, but the only reason they caught him was because he went in, and one of the things he did is he'd spend some of the money so he wouldn't look suspicious. He wouldn't just walk in off the street, walk in, cash in, and leave. He'd go there and he'd go play some, go have a drink, and do this, go do an off-track betting or something like that. And but he put his $3 $5 coins in, pulled the slot machine, and the slot machine errored out, like it broke. And so then he got up and left because he didn't want somebody coming over and seeing what he was doing. And then they're like, well, if it had been like 4 quarters, something like that, yeah, fine, the guy would leave. But like this guy just put $15 or $20 in the machine and pulled the slot, and he got up and left. And so then after that, they had an image of him, and he was like under suspicion. So the next time he came in, they followed him. The cameras followed him. They watched him cash in way more chips than he should have had. And then they snagged him, and then they went out to his station wagon that he had, and he, in the back of the station wagon underneath the tarp, he had like basically those big giant like paint drums that you see. He had the names of casinos written on the side of them, and he literally had thousands of the coins that he had made himself for like 5 different casinos. He had written the name of the casino on the side of each one where he could turn in, and he had just figured out how to make his own casino coins. And the cool thing, I shouldn't say cool thing, but he got caught and he went to prison, and he was in there for whatever it was, 4 or 5 years. And when he got out, the U.S. government hired him on the spot to work in their anti-forgery department.
See, crime does pay.
Theoretically. I wish I could find the guy's name.
Only if you do it right.
It was a good story. It was part of like this little like 6-episode show of Breaking Vegas about these people that had basically figured out certain things about Vegas and how they had discovered it. Travis is on maple syrup apparently. He's too good to be with us.
Yeah, he just funded tonight this evening.
Yippee.
Oh, good. Hey, good for him. Dreamwell is a very cool-looking game, and it's a very every turn is a puzzle. I like games like that where you have to kind of puzzle it out and figure out how to score points.
You like puzzling till your puzzler is sore?
Well, no, I enjoy games like that where it's like when it gets to my turn, I have to kind of figure out the optimum strategy. I like games like that. They eventually, like, sometimes those things frustrate me, because I can't figure out the answer on a given turn. But they're enjoyable. So what's next for Taste Minstrel after this? After Coliseum's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds so throw.
Yeah.
I mean, we got stuff. We just keep working.
Have you announced anything other than Coliseum coming up?
That's going to be on Kickstarter? No. We're doing Ponzi Scheme.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's for sure.
When I heard that, I was like, thank you. I don't need to keep trying to find a copy. I've been like scouring like any possible resource I can to like track down a copy of that. But
yeah, we got Flip City 2 and Flip City 3 and other stuff.
What about Curio or what's that?
Curio Collector?
No, not Curio Collector. The trick-taking area control game.
Jiraku?
Jiraku, there we go.
Yeah, we're doing that.
Sweet. That
And
game's awesome.
Guns and Steel.
That's also really good.
Oh yeah, I have Guns and Steel.
I picked up Curio on a just a sight unseen.
Jiraku?
Jiraku. Thank God, I can't even talk. I picked up Jiraku sight unseen at BGG at the Fun Again booth because somebody was like, "Yeah, it's like a trick-taking game with area control." I was like, "Well, two great tastes to go great together," you know.
Clearly.
No, but I heard that and I was like, I gotta try that out. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool game.
Yeah,
we have Orleans Invasion. More Orleans.
Well, you are gonna carry that? I didn't know if you were.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have a deluxe version of it?
No.
It won't match our Orleans Deluxe then.
Why wouldn't it? It doesn't have any.
There's nothing extra pieces.
There's nothing you need that would need to be deluxed.
Well, I want a gilded box.
Okay.
Like with a hologram on it, like 1990. I want to go back to 1990s comic book era, where everything had like a special cover, and
yeah, we don't.
Do what Abyss did and have like 5 different covers.
No.
And make one of them really rare and tough to find.
No, I don't think so.
I really enjoyed both my last 2 TMG games, Orleans and Bomb Squad. Bomb Squad, I really think is cool.
Cool. I'm glad you like them.
It takes an hobby and makes it fun.
Yeah. That's how I feel.
And of course, the imminent reprint of Homesteaders, right?
Maybe. Yeah, we're reprinting Homesteaders. We just need to get. We have one thing that we need to get before
you need to
push the go button.
You need to pin Alex Rockwell to the ground and make him sign a contract or something, or what?
No, we wanted to get him to make an expansion. But yeah, before that, we need to reestablish the previous contract. So.
Sweet.
Oh, somebody.
Sorry, I don't mean
Gold West. I don't have that, and that's really good too.
Yeah, Gold West is a great game.
I just got that in today.
I played that at BGG and really enjoyed it. So
good.
You guys are kind of on a roll right now, so keep it up.
We've only made good games ever, so.
Yeah.
Sure, you can say that.
I just did.
No, I mean, how many games do you think you're going to publish this or at least put on Kickstarter or publish in 2016? You had to give me a ballpark figure.
In 2000, what? I know how to do this. Okay, hold on.
Somewhere between 7 and 49.
That is definitely true. I'm looking at our production management thingy here, and let me add up some numbers real quick.
I'm reminded of Rick and Morty when they're doing when he goes, "What's 9 times 5?" Well, it's definitely over 40. That's right, it is definitely over 40. You're the smartest kid in class. Nobody else watches Rick and Morty?
Okay, so right now we have 68 individual items that are in different processes that are not yet in the warehouse. But that includes reprints and every single project, and it includes 23 things that are in our evaluation sphere of stuff right now, which is like we need to play test the prototype and see if it doesn't suck. So yeah, 68 total items, 23 of them are in evaluation, but everything else is after that, so a lot of stuff.
Hey, back when you had me playtest those like half a dozen games at the Super Secret Subway at Gen Con like 2 or 3 years ago, I don't think you published any of those games.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for wasting my time while I ate my meatball sub.
Well, your evaluation was critical in avoiding mistakes. No.
That one Planet game was fun though. What was that one? I like that one.
Yeah, it wasn't planets, it was stars. Big Bang.
Big Bang.
I like that game, but it's a tiny game. It has 14 cards and that's it. And
it could have been your love letter.
Yeah,
You could be making Batman Big Bang. You could be making The Hobbit Big Bang. You could be making
Coin Age could have
Pandemic
been.
Big Bang.
Coin
You
Age
could make
could
the
have been
Big
our.
Bang Theory Big Bang.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Coin Age could have been our.
You're sitting on a gold mine, Michael, and you're just throwing it away.
I kind of want to make a Coin Age big box version and put it in one of our small boxes. Coin Age, the big box.
Like the Tiny Epic Games Deluxe that Michael Coe wants to make.
It's gonna come on a card like this size.
Hey, Mr. Mendez, you're familiar with conspiracy theories, right?
Depending on which ones.
Well, like just like JFK didn't act alone. We'd never been to the moon.
JFK did that?
JFK didn't act alone.
No, him and his brother both were with Marilyn at the same time.
Sure. Yes. Lance, what's
Do
up?
you buy into any of them? Is there a conspiracy theory that you believe?
Then it wouldn't be a conspiracy theory. It'd be truth.
So that's a no then.
No. No conspiracy theories.
You don't think aliens landed in New Mexico?
I don't care.
I believe they did, and Donald Trump will stop them from ever doing it again.
That guy. Well, it looks like the ranchers are finally going to be sent home though. After they shot the one guy and arrested the rest. Heard about that, right?
The people. Yeah, I only heard about it from Andy. I avoid news.
Well, that's what as the great the guy that the Pretty Little Trees or whatever. I can't.
Joe
think
Letty?
No. Yeah, that goddamn Joel Letty. No. The painter. Make Pretty Little Trees, and I can't think of his
Bob Ross?
Bob Ross. He once said they asked him about current events or whatever about something. He's like, I don't know anything about that. And they're like, well, don't you watch the news? And he's like, news is nothing but bad news, man. Why would I want to watch that? And there's a lot of truth to that. I was like, huh, yeah, I guess I can see that.
I get my news 12th hand from my wife when she sees it on Facebook. For the most part.
Fair enough.
So how many people are watching this?
Like 12.
12.
It's a number between 12 and 47.
It's 12 and like 6 of us are on here. So 6.
What?
It's always like this. More people watch it after the fact.
Yeah, people watch it afterwards, yes.
Or listen to it, most likely.
But the people who do watch it are the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're all the best because they're cool.
Sometimes we have them come in like Paul, who was here before.
Yeah.
Oh, he's still here. There he is.
I'm here.
Where'd he go?
He took the hood down.
Took
That's
the
why.
hood off. I couldn't recognize him.
So, Michael, what would you say is your most successful area in the publishing? Is it your new games, your original games, or the imports, or the reprints?
I don't know how to answer that. I look at each item individually and evaluate if it makes sense to continue making it or not. So, in the case of Village, which we decided not to continue making, our partner wanted way too much from us going forward. So I just said, okay. And so Bonacore's making it now, but I bet that they didn't ask as much of Bonacore as they asked of me, because I'm pretty sure Steve would have been like, what? No? So it's partially an excuse for them to be able to get rid of me, because they didn't like me, I guess. Whatever. Yeah, that's it.
So it's just based on how things are going. So Bottle Cap Vikings 2 is probably not going to happen.
Bottle Cap Vikings 2 is not going to happen.
Okay.
Flip City 2 and 3 will be happening. Cthulhu, another box set of Cthulhu Realms would happen if we didn't have to design it ourselves. We don't have the capacity to design it right now because, as I mentioned, we've got so many things that we're doing currently.
Well, who?
Are you bringing?
Find somebody to design it then.
Find what?
I said find somebody to design it then, because I love Cthulhu Realms.
Well, Andy Van Zant is the right person to do it, but he is currently managing the pre-manufacturing on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different games and one in queue. So just be like, hey, Andy, on top of that, how about you design this? And it's not going to work out too well. But he always has ideas. He's always got ideas in his mind, so once the ability to work on that frees up, it probably wouldn't take too long to get an initial game out.
And now we finally live in a world where Salvatore Tessio is no more.
Oh, I was very upset.
Yeah. I mean, he did seem ageless. But...
I will tell you the one funny thing about it is I'm at work and I also look at my Twitter and I see someone had just posted Abe Vigoda, famous for not being dead, has died.
Yeah.
I was like, yep, that's pretty much it.
And the Abe Vigoda is alive or whatever website, yeah. I mean, he was 94. You can't really complain about his run, but so it's one of those things where whatever. We should all be so lucky to live that long, right? And be as successful and he was great as Fish in Barney Miller. I mean, absolutely like perfect. But obviously also Salvatore Tessio.
What's great about Tessio is if you watch the Godfather 2, or if you watch it in the epic form that they showed on HBO again recently, I don't even know who the actor is. I never even looked it up. But when it's the flashback stuff.
I know what you're talking about, like the guy who plays Tessio.
The guy who plays Tessio doesn't even talk in it. Looks like Abe Vigoda.
Now you're gonna make me look it up. But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying as far as that goes.
He doesn't talk. He doesn't say anything. They know that's Tessio, but he looks like Abe Vigoda would look if he was half the age he is when he was The Godfather.
Yeah. Did you hear that on HBO is going to John Apri as young Salvatore Tessio? HBO is going to have, and if you have HBO Go, you're able to see it. They're going to take Godfather and then Godfather 2, and they're going to take like the stuff like previously unreleased scenes, and they're going to actually put them together in chronological order.
It's already there. It's the epic. It was actually on a couple weeks ago, the first time on HBO.
Oh yeah, yeah. I gotta watch that.
Now it's the best way to watch it. It's in my opinion. You need to have a lot of time to do it.
Well, it's like 7.5 or 8 hours long or something like that.
Because it opens with Don Corleone in Sicily as a child, and then he comes to America. Then all of the scenes, then it flash forward. Then all the scenes with De Niro and them, and then it starts where Godfather starts. So all the flashback stuff from Godfather 2 is all at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. The best way to watch it, in my opinion. And then there's a couple actual extra scenes that are added to it that they're not huge or anything, but definitely this is the best way to watch that movie.
And how good? Two things. Godfather 2, in my opinion, is one of the rarities where the sequel was better than the first, in my opinion. And how good was Bruno Kirby as the young Peter Clemenza?
No, he's excellent. And it's funny because, you look at it and you go, wow, what else did that guy do? If you didn't know who he was, you're like, oh, my God, he made a bunch of movies where he's just basically an idiot in it.
Yeah, but you, and if you see first Godfather and you see Peter Clemenza, big giant heavy guy running around, just like that scene at the end of Godfather where he's racing up the stairs so he can get up there so he can shoot those guys with the shotgun or whatever. I mean, it's such a great moment, and then like to see him in the other one as the young, and Bruno Kirby died way too young. Cancer sucks, man. But yeah, Bruno Kirby was, and most people know Bruno Kirby as like with this when he was in like When Harry Met Sally and City Slickers and stuff like that. But yeah, he was actually a really good serious actor. So.
Yep. I had no idea what you guys were just saying.
You ever seen The Godfather, Michael?
No, man. I'm 34.
Well, that doesn't mean anything.
I'm not old like some people around here.
All right, that's it.
No, I'm talking about Lance.
I'm older than
Keith
Lance.
away.
Like, just all I have to hear is the opening song from The Godfather, and it chills up my back. It's just like, it's perfect.
Mm.
And Clemenza has one of the best lines. Leave the gun, take the cannoli.
That line and the other line. Michael, why don't you tell the nice girl you love her? I love you with all of my heart. If I don't see you soon, I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die as he's cooking, because he's the big. After they've gone to the mattresses, yeah, he's just sitting there. Yeah, just like sitting there and yeah, God, what a great movie. Now I gotta go bust that. I hope they put that on Blu-ray. If they put Epic on Blu-ray, I'll have to buy yet another version.
They had released it in the 80s on VHS because that's how I had seen it originally.
Really?
And it's funny because we had gotten it, and literally every single cousin, uncle, aunt, friend borrowed it from us. And we'd be like, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, all day Saturday, that's what we're doing. And half the time we'd go and watch it with them. And literally we'd be there all day. And then someone would come in, this is still on? I'm like, it's the Epic.
No, Keith, you've watched The Godfather and Godfather 2, right? Keith?
I believe so, but it's been forever. Like
and
when I was a child.
Barry, you've watched them?
I've seen all three, and I read the book.
Okay, well, there is no third one. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, it was horrible.
Unfortunately, the third one was the first one I ever saw, which I was like, why do I like these movies?
Yeah.
Quality Walnuts.
Definitely seen them all.
The best part about 3 is Father Guido Sarducci.
That's true. But no.
All right, everybody, I'm headed to bed. Have a good night. Good to see you guys.
Good night, Keith.
All right,
Keith.
Yeah.
His name was Mo Green.
Michael has no idea what we're talking about. What was the last movie you saw, Michael? Not a kid's movie, like an adult, like you're
Star Wars.
Not an adult movie.
All right, yeah, and not something that stars your first player marker.
Star Wars: The Force Awakens. That was the last movie I saw.
All right. Before that, though.
Clerks.
No, I just found out a long time ago. Maybe Ant-Man. I watch movies when I'm on the plane to going to Japan. That's when I watch movies. Otherwise, I pretty much don't. Unless it's a kid's movie, and then often I fall asleep because that's what kids' movies are for. They keep my children quiet, and I fall asleep.
I was actually thinking about this earlier. Like when I was growing up, you never heard of a trilogy usually, and now you got like Marvel's playing them till 2020 or something.
Yep.
Do you think that's gonna not kill the movie industry, but like cheapen it? I guess.
That's what's gonna save it.
As long as people keep going, they'll keep making them. How many freaking Fast and Furious movies are they gonna make?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Like we got it. You guys can drive fast and steal stuff. We get it. The Taken movies are like the funniest ones to make.
I can't believe they made that mistake again for a third time. They pissed me off.
Don't piss this guy off. Like he's the kind of guy that if you're both equally distanced from a parking space, let him have it.
Well, I think one of the cool things. Did you guys see John Wick?
Yes.
They're doing a sequel to that, or like a prequel or something. They're gonna revisit the John Wick universe again.
And he gets a cat, and then kill the cat. And then
but I mean, I did like the idea. I like the idea of the John Wick universe. Like the weird hotel where all the assassins go, and then yeah, I did like that. I did like the world that is. But yeah, that wasn't a bad revenge movie. In all honesty.
But that actually works because all right, let's take something like the Transporter.
Yeah, the Transporter.
Transporter works.
Mike, are you just being sarcastic? Did you actually see the Transporter?
Transporter 1 was awesome.
But Transporter kind of works. You can keep making movies about it because he's constantly has a new job.
Right. And it's
what he's doing. But after a while, they become the same movie.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I was getting at.
Well,
and so once it becomes not financially viable to make it, you stop. It's super simple.
Or you wait a few years and then you come out with the fourth one, like they did with the Lethal Weapon movies.
Yeah.
Three didn't do as good as the other ones, and they stopped doing them. And then all of a sudden, Lethal Weapon 4 came out because people thought it would be nostalgic.
Because Jet Li had something to do.
That's actually similar to what I was thinking about the Rainbow movies. That's where it is.
Well, okay, so here's the deal. So Jason Statham, I see him in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and I see him in Snatch.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just and he was really good in those movies. I enjoyed it. And all of a sudden, then he's just like Mr. Action Movie. You know what I mean? It's just like it was kind of like.
If you want to see you want to see him in a good movie as far as his role. Have you seen Spy?
Yeah.
No.
He's hysterical in it.
And yeah, he is. And Spy was like I think that was the funniest movie. I mean, I did not think it was going to be that good, and I was just like, oh my god, this is hilarious. And I don't know. I don't know if I thought it was just going to be some stupid Paul Blart, fish out of water type of situation thing. But yeah, but it was just it was good. But no, I mean,
we're do it for a Grown Ups 3 movie soon, aren't we?
Isn't there a Dr. Dolittle 5 coming out sometime soon?
Yeah.
No, I mean, like Snatch is like a great movie. What happened to Guy Ritchie? Man, he like got married to Madonna and then made that horrible Castaway movie, and then he had that really bad movie Revolver, where you just sat there watching and waiting for something to happen.
Did you not like Castaway?
No, not the Castaway movie with Tom Hanks.
Okay.
The weirdo movie where his wife Madonna gets trapped on the island with the cabin boy or whatever. It was.
He just did Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that. Was it any good?
That's all right.
Kingsman was good.
They didn't do that.
Yeah, I know, but Kingsman. That was a good movie, though.
Do that one.
I like Kingsman.
Swept Away is the movie you're talking about.
Swept Away, yeah. I enjoyed
Kingsman. With a sequel to Kingsman.
Well, they should. Yeah. And that was a well done movie.
Yeah.
I mean, a little ridiculous in some parts, but I mean, it was just supposed to be a ridiculous movie.
He did the Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr.
The first one was excellent. Second one was just, I don't know. It's like they lost track of what they were trying to do.
And then his next movie coming out is Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur. It's in post-production. It's coming out in 2017.
Oh God. I don't know. Like I said, Lock, Stock and was great, and then Snatch was even better. I mean, I remember when I went to go see Snatch. As soon as the movie was done, I was like, I gotta watch that movie again. That was just.
What about Rock and Rolla?
No, that was a bad movie.
Idris Elba in it. It has to be good, right?
No. The Bullet Tooth Tony, and then Harry the Bullet Dodger. What is it called? Why do they call him that? Because he dodges bullets. Just like Boris the Bullet Dodger. Yeah, that was good. And then the whole scene where I can't think of the actor's name, but the guy that was the soccer player, the bad guy, and he goes and he gets his glass of beer, and those guys have the replica guns, and they're pointing them at him, and he's like, maybe it's because the side of your guns says replica, and the side of mine says Desert Eagle .50. Great moment. But I don't know. Anybody else? I know I talked about this probably before. Has anybody else seen Hateful Eight yet?
Yes.
Barry, you saw it?
Yes.
And
the red one.
Nope.
Okay. What about you, Polly Wallflower?
Didn't see it.
I also
If
did not
Travolta was
see
in it, I would have went.
I know. Hey,
He's on FX later this month.
hey, Anthony, be John Travolta trapped in a cabin in the middle of a blizzard.
My God, it's so freaking cold outside. I hope that's up soon. I gotta get to the store and get me some Hershey's chocolate syrup and some comic books and maybe some cotton balls, because you never know when you may need a cotton ball.
Did you see that movie where John Travolta takes over that train? That movie was dumb. That's all I have to say about that.
Broken Arrow?
With Denzel Washington?
Oh no, that's what the hell's
The
that?
Taking of Pelham 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That one.
I didn't see that one. I saw the original with
I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna just drive this train, kill all these people.
the original had Robert Shaw as the bad guy, if I remember correctly. He was good in that movie. Great ending too, because Walter Matthau is playing the transit cop, and he finally gets the drop of Robert Shaw, and he asks. Spoiler alert for a 50-year-old movie. He asks two guys that are no longer with us on the planet. Robert Shaw, he's sitting there and he's on the tracks or whatever, and he asks Walter Matthau if New York has the death penalty, and he tells him no, and he says, "I'm not spending the rest of my life in prison," and he reaches out and grabs the third rail and electrocutes himself. Good. So, good ending.
Shouldn't do
Spoiler.
Yeah, there you go.
Spoilers.
Spoiler for the 50-year-old movie.
that.
For those of you who are perusing the classics section in your video store, and you thought about taking, well, now I've ruined that for all.
I still have
none of
never seen Titanic because someone ruined it for me.
Yeah,
Really?
the ships. I actually I read. I shouldn't say I read. I listened to a because they were talking about how Titanic was just absolutely just insane. How people loved that movie. Like, it was still in movie. It was still in like first-run movie theaters a year after it came out, and people were still going to it. I mean, it was like, like 6 months after it came out, it had in some places it had movie theaters that were still packed, going to go watch that movie. And just like they were talking about how did this happen? I mean, like it was just like unprecedented how much people like loved that movie. And the thing was, it was just like they went over each section of the movie and tried to explain like why it appealed to so many people and why it was interesting and why people just kind of allowed themselves to fall in love with it. And it was actually pretty good. I mean, they tried to like, God, I'll have to find it and link it. But I mean, it kind of went over like that period, and they went through like the news during that time, and they tried to like correlate all this information and everything, and it was just. What they came up with was basically everything that was going on in the world at that time, as far as like the ages of people that were moviegoers and news that was affecting them and the economics and everything. It was just like an absolute perfect storm for
I've
Titanic.
never seen it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just I remember going to it like in an afternoon showing with a buddy of mine, my buddy Jason. And I remember I called him up. I said, because we had.
And then you cried on his shoulder
Yeah,
at the end.
well, that's to be sure. There's two things I remember about that movie. There's two things I remember, and I remember this happening. And one of the things in this this thing that they talked about was that every other movie that had been about the Titanic or the sinking of Titanic had been very like hands off as far as the actual disaster. Because because the whole thing was like most of the movies before that were about the sinking of Titanic, they just kind of did the whole thing and then the boat sinks and that was it. And it was and the way the boat sinks, it was very very hands off. They didn't show any of the brutality of it. They didn't show anything. But in Titanic, it was like they had like tons of action. Like as soon as the boat starts sinking. The entire movie was just everybody on top of the ship on the deck. That was what it was. But this movie with Cameron, they actually had them going down into the thing, and they had the water coming in and everything like that. So it was just kind of like, it was more action oriented, and that was one of the reasons why. But I'm getting a little bit beyond myself here. The idea they said was about the reason what the Titanic had. Was that they had a young star with what's his name, Leonardo, that like wasn't given much to work with, but like you could kind of see that he was doing the most he possibly could with what he had, and like they actually like they say Cameron like threw away like tons of footage that they had used, like as far as like there was supposed to be like a scene where Billy Zane's like head of security or whatever guy like is chasing them down inside the sinking ship trying to get the necklace from Rose. He thinks she's got it because he wants to escape with it and steal it and stuff like that. And he has a big gun battle or something with Leonardo DiCaprio in like the dining room or something. So it's like there was like it was like they had taken stuff out that sucked, but the thing about it was that I went to that movie and I said I had seen all the stuff about it, like how they had basically built a ship, for a set. Like it was right before now, like nothing. You'd never make that movie now and actually build a set for it. Everything would be computerized. It was just. Whatever. It was just like they would never touch on that. And like look at Cameron. Look at his movie about the planet.
Avatar?
Yeah, I mean the whole thing was just a cartoon.
I saw that.
I saw about 20 minutes of that. I was bored. But no. So what they said was that when I went to the movie. I told my buddy, I said, I want to go see it just for the effects. I said, because I think I'm going to be impressed by what he did. Because, I mean, every single movie he'd done before that, I really dug. And so I remember I went to that movie, and it was barren. I mean, it was like the fourth or fifth day. It was like a 2 o'clock showing in the middle of the afternoon. I was there with my buddy, and there was this guy behind me that was narrating the movie to his wife. Like, you ever, like, get that person where they got to, like, talk about it? Oh, he's going to be the one that's going to be in trouble. Like, just, like, having to, like he thinks he's watching a TV show, and he's got to, like, get you up to date as far as what's going on.
I had that the first time I watched Star Wars, The Force Awakens. It was the worst.
So,
oh! R2's here! like, ah, shut up, guy.
So like literally like when the iceberg showed up, he's like, "That's gonna be the one that sinks them." Yeah, thanks, buddy. Just like, and then like when like there was a scene like when like I don't know what it was, but basically like water's rushing down a hallway. He goes, he literally, "Here comes the water, honey. They're sinking for sure." It's just like, what the hell? So I remember that. And I remember here's this this big serious scene, right, of like this horrific thing of these people dying, and this is a real event. These people died. And it's actually like if you think about it, it's kind of tragic. It really is tragic. But the scene where the guy slides off and falls and hits the propeller on the way down, and you hear that dong, and he flies off. I busted out laughing, like.
You're a horrible person, man. Horrible.
I know. I was like, whoa, and like people looked at me like I was like Satan, like sitting next to them, like, did you see that? Holy cow, that guy got his head caved.
You've
Total
seen Meet Joe
CGI.
Black, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, when he gets hit at the very beginning.
I was the movie stars. Brad Pitt, boom, dies. So I am laughing so hard.
They play ping pong with his body at the very beginning of that movie. Not a very good movie either. Man, that was like, kind of like.
My daughter just got to experience Titanic for the first time. So she watched it with my wife, and literally the movie ends, and I can hear her bawling from the other room.
Mm.
Because she put two and two together what the last scene of the movie's about. And then she felt so bad that Rose had actually died. And she was crying because she felt bad for Rose. I'm like, honey, that lady doesn't actually really exist.
Yeah. I
think
remember.
it's funny, there's another theory. One second. The theory about the movie that Jack doesn't actually exist. That Jack is all in Rose's imagination.
I've heard that. That's kind of a cool idea, actually.
But it doesn't make sense at the dinner scene because everybody else talks to him.
Well, yeah, there's that.
But if that didn't happen, that would have been the coolest thing in the world. Like Jack has never actually existed.
Well, maybe she maybe like she just had that episode or whatever, and she's imagining all those people talking to him. You could say that. But no, I remember the Seinfeld where they're just a total throwaway, and he's like, George is in Jerry's apartment, and he says, "Oh, hey, I finally saw Titanic," and Jerry's like, "Oh yeah, what'd you think?" He's like, "So the old lady, she's just like a big liar." He's like, "Yeah, and kind of a whore too." And that's all they say about the movie.
If you want to see a really weird version of Titanic, if you can get a copy of the 1943 version that was made in Germany, you have to see this movie. So there's actually, if you watch History Channel, like every once in a while they have like a day where they just do all things about Nazis and stuff, but they have one that's about the making of this movie.
You sure that's not some meeting you go to every other weekend or something?
Well, you have to. I actually saw this documentary thing that they had about the making of this movie. It's crazy weird, but they basically took the entire story of Titanic and made it a Nazi propaganda film.
Oh, really?
Where the one hero on the ship is the only German who happens to be on the ship. And how, everyone in there is, they're just all about greed and all this and all that. And you can get copies of this, because I actually have a copy of this on a DVD, not the actual movie. It was on something like PBS with my father. Apparently had taped it once at some time, because after he had passed away, I found it in his collection of movies and stuff. But really, really, really weird movie.
The weird thing about this little thing they talked about a made-for-TV like maxi series or mini series, like it was like 2 or 3 like about the sinking of the Titanic, and they actually compared scenes from that, and it looks like Cameron lifted them completely, like absolutely, positively lifted them right off of and put them into the and put them straight into his movie.
Oh, that was in like '96.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I'll have to find that. It was actually like it was really well done. I mean, these are the things I do when I'm at work, and I just need some background noise in my head, and I just try to find documentaries on YouTube that I can listen to.
Yeah, it was in that one.
I'm sure you'll tell.
It was Peter Gallagher, George C. Scott, and Catherine Zeta-Jones were the head people for that.
I believe you. George C. Scott was in a horrible movie called Hindenburg that I thought, oh, this would be cool. It's like it's a movie about the Hindenburg, and the fact that giant thing exploded in that fireball or whatever. That was the most boring movie I'd seen in a long time. I think the late great Gene Siskel, when he said when a movie is bad, I ask myself what would be more interesting to watch, this movie or a documentary of the actors of this movie sitting at a dinner table talking about it. He's like, if I say the latter, I know it's a really bad movie, and I think that's a great idea. Like, I don't know. I was more of a Roger Ebert guy. I always was, but I did enjoy Siskel's take on things. Roger Ebert. Roger Ebert. Has everybody read the hated this movie books that he did? That like if you ever want to, like, I think you can get them on Kindle for pretty almost next to nothing now. But the Roger Ebert hated this movie. He's got like there was 2 or 3 books that compiled all of his like reviews of movies that he hated, and it's really good. It's very fun to listen to or read a really good reviewer really skewer a bad movie, and what he has to say. So, if you're looking for some light reading to add to your Kindle, I would suggest picking those up. Does anybody here own a Kindle? You own a Kindle?
No. Oh, okay. So if anyone wants to watch that documentary thing I was talking about, it's on YouTube. If you go and search History Channel Nazi Titanic.
That's something I want on my search history.
I'm telling you, you have to watch this because it is really interesting. The entire story about why they made it and the guy. Basically, I don't want to spoil it. There's a big spoiler in this story. You have to watch this if you're into that's that era time, World War II stuff, and that crazy stuff that was going on. You really need to watch this. It's excellent.
Okay. All right.
Titanic 1943 film. You're
right now.
Let's see here. Here you go. Okay, here you go. A proclamation to the stockholders of the White Star Line declares the value of their stock is falling. The president of the line, J. Bruce Ismay, promises to reveal a secret during the maiden voyage of the line's new RMS Titanic that will change that. He alone knows she can break the speed record and receive the blue riband, and he believes that this will raise the stock value. Ismay and the board of the White Star Line plan to manipulate the stock by selling short their own stock in order to buy it back at a lower price just before the news of the ship's record speed was revealed to the press. On Titanic's maiden voyage in 1912, the first officer Peterson, who is German, begs the ship's rich, snobbish, and sleazy owners to slow the ship down, but they refuse. The Titanic hits an iceberg and sinks. The passengers in the first class act like cowards, while Peterson, his recently impoverished Russian aristocrat ex-lover Sigrid Olinsky, and other German passengers and steerage behave bravely and with kindness. Peterson manages to rescue many passengers, convince Sigrid to get into a lifeboat, and saves a young girl who was obviously left to die in her cabin by an uncaring, callous British mother. In the ship's final death throes, Peter leaps from the deck with the little girl in his arms and is pulled aboard Sigurd's lifeboats. The occupants watch in horror as Titanic plunges beneath the waves. At the British inquiry into the disaster, Peterson testifies against Ismay, condemning his actions. But Ismay is cleared of all charges, and the blame is placed squarely on the deceased Captain Smith's shoulders. An epilogue states that the deaths of 1,500 people remain unatoned, forever a testament of Britain's greedy, endless quest for profit.
Okay, so that's the whole problem. You don't have to actually watch the actual movie now that you know the whole story. But if you watch the history thing about the making of it, it's just totally, completely interesting. The whole story behind it.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
All right, go back. If everybody, anything you want to say about Thieves Market? Or
Yeah.
Any
People
parting
should
words?
go check it out and back it.
If you have 300,000 to throw at it, we'll get metal coins.
Not quite yet.
Well, if one person has 300 grand to throw at it, it gets a lot better for the rest of us.
It's true. It's true. I think if we were at 358 tomorrow, that people would think it was realistic and they'd jump on board.
It's doable. All right, buddy. Thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Have a good night, Michael.
Bye.
Yeah.
So
No.
don't forget, YouTube, Nazi, Titanic.
Thank you. The film cost almost 4 million Reichmarks,
And several lives.
or the equivalent of US $180 million today. It is said to be the most expensive film of its time.
I'm telling you, if you watch the thing from the History Channel, you'll be fascinated by it.
I haven't even seen the American version.
Well, no, don't watch the actual movie. Watch that documentary on it.
Most of the film was shot in the German-occupied Polish Baltic Sea part of Gdynia, renamed Gotenhafen in World War II. On board the SS Cap Arcona, a passenger liner which eventually shared Titanic's fate, it was sunk a few days before the end of World War II by the Royal Air Force on May 3, 1945, with a loss of more than 3 times that of the actual Titanic.
Jeez.
The ship had been turned into a floating bomb and filled with Jewish prisoners that the Nazis had put there in hopes that the ship would be destroyed by the British.
Fuck.
Oh my lord.
I didn't say it was a happy story. I said it was a weird story. But like literally, the guy who made the movie, that they handpicked to make the movie, at one point, just snapped and disappeared.
Oh my lord.
All right, can we move on?
Yeah. Jeez.
Who brought up Titanic?
Oh.
No, yeah, that's depressing.
A little bit. Well, speaking of Titanic, I seen The Reverend, and I decided Leo Capricos is not a good actor. It's
Really?
yeah, I don't.
Leonardo DiCaprio used to be awesome.
Not
Good in some movies.
Like
The movie, no.
Basketball Diaries, he's awesome
Yeah.
in.
Oh, you know what? Here,
Gilbert Grape, he's awesome in.
I'd like to bring us. I'm sorry, I know we want to move on, but hear this. So, Herbert Selpin was
That's the guy.
Yes, he was. Okay, so after 1 week of troubled shooting on Cap Arcona with the Allies bombing not far away, Herbert Selpin called a crisis meeting where he made unflattering comments about the Kriegsmarine officers who were supposed to be Marine consultants for the film, but were more interested in molesting female cast members. Selpin's close friend and co-writer of the script, Walter Zerlett Olfenheis, reported him to the Gestapo, and Selpin was promptly arrested and personally questioned by Joseph Goebbels, who was the driving force behind the Titanic project. Selpin, however, did not retract the statement, infuriating Goebbels, since the propaganda minister had personally chosen him to direct his propaganda epic. Within 24 hours of his arrest, Selden was found hanged in his jail cell, which was ruled a suicide.
Whoopsies.
Gills, yeah, this was not the case. Gibbles had arranged for Selden to be hanged, and the hanging framed as a suicide. The cast and crew were angry at the attempt to cover up Selden's obvious murder and attempted to retaliate, but Gibbles countered them by issuing a proclamation saying that anyone who shunned Zerlet Ulfinis, who had reported Selden, would answer to him personally. The unfinished film, in which the production costs were spiraling wildly out of control, was in the end completed by an uncredited Werner Klinger.
I know nothing.
Yeah, I don't think that's the same guy. Yeah.
See, you just read all that. All of that is in that documentary thing. That's the only reason I knew this movie even existed, is because I happened upon this documentary. All right, so let's move on. So back to Leonardo DiCaprio. His early movies, he was really good in. I used to like the stuff he was in.
Yeah, lately though, I mean, Django, he wasn't that great. The Reverend.
Departed.
Yeah, he was decent in that one.
What about
Wolf of Wall Street?
Inception?
I don't know if I see Inception.
Inception's good. He's good. He's a lot better than like Tom Cruise.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying.
He's not quite as good as I am, because I'm very believable.
Anytime I see a movie with Tom Cruise, it's like I wait for the scene where he's riding a motorcycle, because there has to be a moment where he's riding a motorcycle looking cool. And I also just count the scenes how they'll shoot the scene from down below to make him look like he's actually tall. And then and if you watch that, you're just like, yeah.
I have one thing to say about Tom Cruise. Not a huge fan of his, but he is willing to go all out to make a scene look real.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a few scenes from Mission Impossible that it is actually him doing the stunt. Like the one, I don't know, it was 3 or 4 or whatever, he's running down the outside of the building. That's actually him.
Well, and then he was the one that they clamped him onto the side of the plane or whatever.
Yep.
That was him. I mean, it's not him in the way like it's Jackie Chan him, who like ever since
all stunts.
Well, yeah, I mean there's all kinds of crazy things that he did, like the God, it was like Jackie Chan, Who Am I think it was. I mean, you don't really watch a Jackie Chan movie for the plot, you just watch to see what nutball thing he's gonna do. But I mean, like the Jackie Chan Who Am I, he's on the outside of a skyscraper, and like literally like he starts running down, like it's got a slanted top, and it's like all windows, and at one point he's actually like skidding down it, like trying to get down lower, and he's actually like at one point he actually kind of gets up and he's running down the side of the skyscraper. I mean, he's got no wires or anything on him. I was just like, good lord, he just that guy. He doesn't really do that stuff anymore now because he's 80,000 years old, but
can't move.
But there's another one where like the one that he said nearly killed him. Well, I mean, there's a few that nearly killed him, but the one like he actually like fell like 4 stories and he went through like several different sheets of glass on the way down, and like there's all these things. Oh man, it's just.
Well, didn't you always watch? You used to watch movies to watch the credits. And watch the takes that didn't work.
Yeah, to see the things that.
Like the Rumble in the Bronx.
When he broke his leg on jumping onto the hovercraft or whatever it was.
No, he jumped from out the window to the fire escape across the alleyway.
Oh, how crazy is that? Like, and that's I mean, it's he misses, he's dead.
And he literally, I saw something once about, they were talking about his thing, and they go, well, how do you know how much time did you practice? He goes, oh no, I don't practice it. I know how far I can jump, and I say, okay, I'm gonna jump out this window and go land on that fire escape. And they go, okay, let's roll the camera.
Well,
Like
yeah.
the fight scenes are all like planned, but stuff like that, it's just pretty much he just goes, all right, I think in this scene I'm gonna jump out the window and go to that fire escape. Put the fake glass in. Let's go.
Yeah, it's. Ugh. Yeah, he's a nut. He's crazy. He's just absolutely crazy. But yeah, but thankfully he's made us some cool movies to watch. Yeah.
And some bad ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch the old Drunken Master stuff, yeah, it can be a little tough to like wait for the 20-minute fight scene. Once you get to that 20-minute fight scene, it's pretty awesome. He said Buster Keaton was his is like his idol.
Yeah, because he always has that bit of comedy in all of those fights too.
Yeah, because it's never serious, you know.
Like he'll hit like 6 guys in a row, and then all of a sudden he'll hit his hand on like a chair and do the.
Yeah. Rumble in the Bronx is the one, isn't he, when he's diving through shopping carts during that one fight scene?
Yes.
Oh, just how? Yeah. Crazy. He's yeah, no, I just he like yeah, I mean I don't know. I mean I feel bad that he had to he had to be like his most successful movies were with what's his face. The Rush Hour movies. I can't think of his name right now.
Chris Tucker.
Tucker, yeah.
Chris Tucker, yeah. You know, who I will say this. I was like, it was like one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm gonna go to a movie with my wife, and we went to Silver Linings Playbook, and like I did not realize that Chris Tucker was playing his buddy from the Nutball House until like I was sitting there, I was like, holy crap, that's Chris Tucker. I mean, it was like literally like I was sitting there and like he was playing like a fairly serious role and you know a little bit of humor, but like you didn't even realize because he wasn't being Chris Tucker. So I was actually pretty impressed with that.
Jackie Chan is in Dragon Blade. Have you seen the animation actors for that thing?
No.
You haven't seen this thing? This thing's like nuts. It's him and John Cusack and Adrian Brody.
Oh, I'd heard about that, and like, and John Cusack plays like
He's Tiberius, isn't he?
He plays like a Roman general or something, right?
Yeah, he's Tiberius, the Roman leader, and then they're trying to claim the Silk Road, and is in it. Adrian Brody, and Adrian Brody is Tiberius, and John Cusack is Lucius, and they're trying to claim the road, and Adrian Brody is trying to stop them from doing it, and he teams up with Jackie Chan to stop them. But it looks like one of those epic, really, that's will be the middle kind of things as far as like the fight scenes and stuff. It looks interesting.
Well, and
And we all know John Cusack doesn't make bad movies.
Well,
Neither does his sister.
He does. They both do. But I heard it got almost universally panned. It was just like it had some nice fight scenes or whatever, but like for the most part, it was just kind of like, what the hell, you know? And that was the general reaction to the way that was put together. But yeah, I don't know.
But 6.1 out of 10 stars on IMDb.
Yeah.
There you go. What else has he got going on here? Oh, Karate Kid 2, Rush Hour 4. He's in Kung Fu Panda 3. Kung Fu Yoga, Skip Trace, Railroad Tigers, and The Foreigner.
There's going to be a Rush Hour 4?
It's announced, but it's not no date on it yet. Same with Karate Kid 2. They've announced the Karate Kid 2, but nothing there as far as that goes. He's been doing movies, just hasn't been doing any movies here.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff here, like in 2013, 2014, 2012, 2011. I don't remember seeing any of this stuff here.
Oh, he had his own production company and all that in Hong Kong, didn't he?
Yeah, but I'm like which one? Like Rumble in the Bronx is a movie that was made there that they basically just redubbed the whole thing.
Oh yeah, they redone the whole thing, and you can tell totally.
But that's like those movies had come here. That one came, and then a couple after that, and then he started doing a few movies here. But like the stuff he's been doing lately is nothing even been released here that I've even heard of. He's made a lot of movies.
Well, yeah, he's got to stay busy. You know.
But he's like been in movies since he was like a kid. 60s and 70s, a whole ton of stuff here.
Well, he was like one of Bruce Lee's like number one like stunt workers, and he, I don't know, I had a couple friends who were like Lee aficionados, and like Bruce Lee was grooming Jackie Chan to like take over for him. He's
in Enter the Dragon. He's in Small Tiger. He's in Dragons of Death.
Yeah, he considered Jackie Chan to be like the heir apparent, for his whatever, just like martial arts fandom or what have you. Whether you buy into that or not, I don't know. Who knows?
All right.
No, I mean, Jackie Chan, and Jackie Chan has never been in a movie with Chuck Norris, though, I think. Whereas Bruce Lee was in a movie with Chuck Norris.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, very good. That's a pretty cool moment, like the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar fight scene, which not exactly believable, but whatever. It was kind of cool. I don't know. I mean, Bruce Lee had some great movies, but I don't know. I mean, people have this like fascination with him as far as the ones that he did. But I mean, do you think if he had lived, would there have been? Would he have, reached that epic of a level? Or
Probably not. Here's a cool fact about Jackie Chan. So what is the first U.S. movie he was in?
A comedy.
Oh no, it was Cannonball Run.
Cannonball Run, and he's in Cannonball Run 2 also.
Yeah, he and the other guy, they have the computer car or whatever.
He drives the Subaru in the Cannonball Run.
And it has all the computer parts
Right. And he's the Mitsubishi engineer in Cannonball Run 2. I didn't even realize that. I'm sitting here looking at him like, is that these same
Yeah,
movies?
no, I remember that because they get to, like, remember there's the train and then all the cars in the Cannonball Run, they're stuck because the train's going by. And so they kind of get out of their cars and they're just kind of talking. Like, I don't know how long this train is. Like, it's like 18 miles long, and the train's blocking the way. And then the biker gang is there as well. And so then they get into that giant fight scene with the biker gang. And like Jackie Chan is just like literally like just handing them their heads. I mean, he's just going crazy. And then the train gets ready to leave, and he doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to stop fighting because he's having so much fun. I remember, it was. So there you go.
Did anybody watch the X-Files?
I watched the first one.
Was it any good?
I've seen the first two. Yeah, they weren't great, but
I want to believe that the show is actually good.
yeah.
I see what you did there.
I never watched the first one, the original. I watched a few episodes of it, and I was like, okay, whatever. This was boring.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it was boring. This almost felt like there was some good parts in it towards the end of that first episode, but the acting is atrocious. I mean, David Duchovny mails it in, and he's still one of the better acting jobs on the show. But like it's very geared towards the people who are big fans of the show.
Yeah,
it's like one of those. Like Miz was talking before about how you go see Force Awakens, and oh look, there's C-3PO, and you get excited. Like he didn't really need to be in it, but it's kind of one of those things where they do all those things to appease the fans. It's kind of like you go to like an Aerosmith show, if they don't play Sweet Emotion, it's like, oh my god. So it's one of those things, but it almost feels to me, just watching that and knowing it's only 6 episodes, that they really could have done this as 2 movies. Like, like they do like the last Hobbit, there's 2 movies, or the last, Twilight movie, it's part 1 and part 2, or even Harry Potter. I think they could have done it as 2 3-hour movies, and it probably would have been just successful financially for them as this 6 episode run they're going to have.
I don't know, but the last one bombed real bad.
Oh, I didn't even watch the second one because I watched the first one and said I'm going to give it a chance because everyone's talking X-Files. I watched it, I'm like, it's okay. The next night I was like, oh yeah, it's on. All right, what else is on? So if you're a fan, fine, whatever. If you like it, but I mean, some people were like, "So, oh my god, it was fantastic." I'm like, it wasn't fantastic.
Nah,
Does she still not believe in anything?
She seems to be coming around, I guess. Again, I haven't watched the original one, but like stuff happens in this one that, again, I don't see the original, but I think she starts realizing some other things.
in the second episode, she does.
Like she starts realizing at the end of the first one some stuff that correlates to something going on that has gone on with her. So now she's starting to maybe have an inkling that something definitely is going on. But it's all right. I don't think it's going to get renewed after the 6 episodes.
I was reading some reviews on it, and they were saying the critics really shot it down until like the 3rd episode. They said that's when it really starts to pick up.
The only thing I could see this being, in this format, is they're going to do the 6 episodes, and in the last 2, they're going to start introducing some new people. And then when this goes, depending how it does, they're going to like basically do the whole Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. type thing, where the X-Files will be reopened, but it won't be Mulder and Scully. It'll be new people doing it, and they'll be the this 6-part series is the passover, the handing over of the torch to these new people. That's what only thing I can see them doing with this. But I don't see it going on too much longer.
Did you guys? I mean, you guys were fans of the original, I'm assuming.
No, I never watched the original. I saw it a few times. That was it. Yeah.
I like the original.
Not my thing.
I watched the original, and I mean, I forget how many seasons it was, but man, I lost. I gave up on it after like 5 or 6 seasons. It was just kind of like one of those things where it was like, how long can we draw this out? Without, and there was just no. It was like the thing was it never seemed to, and I realize this is probably by design, but it just didn't seem like it knew what it wanted to do. It was like, oh, here's a little tidbit of this overarching giant conspiracy, and here's another little tidbit and then and here's an episode that has nothing to do with anything. We're gonna go and the Monster of the Week episode, that has nothing to do with anything. And then we're going to come back, and then we're just never going to touch on that little tease that we gave you like 2 weeks ago. We're never going to mention it again, because we didn't know what we were going to do with that, and we can't work it into the storyline, so we're just fuck it, we're just going to leave it alone. And I got tired of that. I got tired of like, where are we going with this? Tell me something, and I just I had friends who were like, oh, I love it because it's like, it's all ambiguous and we don't know what's going on, and you kind of have to make up your own mind as far as, what could possibly be. And like I said, time and time again, I'm not going to a movie, I'm not watching a TV show, so then I can try and figure out what's going on. Just tell me. You're the storyteller. tell me the story. And I always think it's gutless when somebody is like, well, make up your mind. Do you think he's alive or dead? It doesn't. Who knows what it is? I always think that's just a gutless way to handle it because
Didn't they make the movie after the show ended to kind of like tie up all the ends and give the fans like a answer? I didn't see the movie either, so I don't know.
Well, they had one movie that it was Scully got captured and she was actually on board a giant spaceship up in like the Arctic, and then Mulder goes up there, right? And I remember I went to this movie with like one of my biggest X-Files freaks of a friend. We're watching this. This is back when Scully still didn't believe in anything. It was like, I just don't think aliens are real, even though this is like this psycho shit's happening like every day. And so they go up there and he goes aboard the alien ship and he finds her body like in a coma or whatever, strapped to like all these machines. He gets her out. And he escapes from the ship after, like, whatever. And, like, they're in the Arctic. Like, literally, like, on a glacier or something like that. And I remember watching this, and then this giant spaceship takes off from the ice and goes up into the sky. And it the clouds kind of part and it flies up into the clouds and then the clouds kind of go back and so it's hidden from view and like you can still see the lights of the shining through the clouds and the lights just start to fade away and just as they fade away Scully wakes up on the ice like what's going on and I looked over at my friend. This is still when like Scully hadn't seen anything like literally like total machine of the gods wakes up at just the right moment not to see anything and my friend just rolls his eyes like oh come on. And I remember just laughing because it was so annoying. It's like she'd have to believe something happened. Why did I wake up in the middle of nowhere on a glacier basically?
Creatures on the Titanic ship and
yeah, maybe. But I was just like, I was I don't know. I mean, it's cool. Hard to believe that neither of them weren't doing anything. Not to, obviously. I can't remember the last thing that Gillian Anderson was in. Prior, I mean, you'll just IMDb it up, and that's cheating. But I mean,
I think she did a lot of like Broadway shit.
So nothing then.
Yeah.
No, so I mean, surprise, surprise, she, had some time. She was in Robot Overlords in 2014. So.
The hell, I never heard it.
She's in the War and Peace miniseries that they're showing right now.
Oh yeah.
She's in The Fall, which is a TV series.
Oh yeah, she was on Hannibal, which isn't a bad show.
And she was on Hannibal.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
and she was on Crisis.
Let's just say she wasn't super busy. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
She did not parlay her TV fame into a huge.
Maybe she didn't want to.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
she did. Maybe she didn't. I don't know.
I mean, the X-Files, I think it was like 9 seasons, and they usually run 12 hours.
Yes.
14
Mulder.
hour
Oh, I'm
days.
sorry. It wasn't the Arctic. It was the Antarctic. Mulder travels to Antarctica to save Scully and discovers a secret underground laboratory run by the cigarette-smoking man. Mulder uses the vaccine to revive Scully, disrupting the stable environment of the lab and reviving the cocooned aliens. The lab is destroyed just after Mulder and Scully escape to the surface. It turns out to be part of a huge alien vessel lying dormant beneath the snow. The vessel pushes up through tons of ice and snow and travels straight up into the sky. Mulder watches the ship fly directly overhead and disappears into the distance just as Scully regains consciousness. Just like, what am I doing in Antarctica? Whatever. Hell of a roofie. Yeah. The only remaining proof of their ordeal is a bee that stung Scully, collected by the lone gunman.
The first time I watched the board game night, I swore Lincoln was one of them.
Oh yeah, he totally looks like that. He totally looks like that the one guy. Yeah, totally. Um, what do you do? I don't know. I hope it does well, just because I mean, more geeky stuff on TV, the better, right?
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. I'm gonna leave it.
Well, because here's the thing, because then you end up with all of these shows that try to be like other shows. Like when Fringe first started.
Yeah, that was a byproduct of the whole Lost thing, right?
Yeah, and I don't know, I never got into it because it was like.
Well, how many weird shows came out when X-Files was out? It was like there was X-Files, and then they had what was that one about with Lance Henriksen who played Millennium, which wasn't bad. I liked the idea of it. It was I watched that. And then they had that one show, Prophet, and if you remember what that is, good for you, because it was only on. They had like 5 episodes, but it was really good. I liked it. And then there was the Lone Gunman show.
Right. It's the whole Babylon 5, Firefly, whatever Star Trek was out at the time. Let's all make a show that's all the same thing.
Well, it's trying to catch lightning in a bottle. I mean, if something gets successful, they want to like copy that and then also be just as successful.
Right. Social deduction games.
Legacy games.
Yeah.
You mark my words. How many legacy games do you think are going to get published this year, 2016?
Well, I know one. It's at
Chronicle.
now.
Yeah. Chronicle, Seafall. I mean, they're going to come out with. They're going to, at the very least, announce Pandemic Season 2. At the very least, they're going to announce it. If not, release it right at the end of the year. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a lot of people are just gonna have like the tear them up and throw them away games. I mean, it's because it's simple, it's easy. I shouldn't say it's easy, but I mean, it's like people love it. People love the whole like I'm playing Choose Your Adventure, the board game.
I think you'll have probably less legacy games and more time stories type games.
Yeah.
The one and done kind of things. You can buy another pack and we'll keep going.
Well, I know. Perfect example. The Sherlock Holmes game from Istari. That's kind of the same thing. I mean, once you get through the cases, you solved them, and you can't really go back and do them over. And I know Jason Maxwell over at Grey Fox. He's doing like Cthulhu mysteries or whatever, which looks super cool. But I mean, it's the same vein. I mean, you have whatever 10 cases, and then after that's done, you just there's nothing there. But I mean, how many games do you play more than 10 times though?
No, but that's the point. The legacy games, you can, by the time you get through all of them, you're still playing it 10, 12, 15 times, whatever. The time stories games, you're playing once.
Yeah.
You may play it in 2 sessions, but technically you're playing it once. And then that deck of cards that comes in the game is no good to you anymore.
Right. Yeah,
I've
but
heard people say, you can do it again with other people and just, not tell them what to do. I'm like, no, I would actually let them run through it and watch them do it because I know where they should go and what they should do, and that would be semi-interesting, maybe once, but not like, oh, okay, hey, new people, here, I'm going to watch you play. Oh, I'm going to watch you play. I want to watch you play. No, because at that point, it doesn't make any sense. Not saying it's a bad game. I played it. I liked it. I didn't think it was as great as Game of the Year as some people were calling it, but you
You can share one copy with a game group.
Yeah, that's the other thing to think about. You can buy one copy and then actually, you have to get 2 copies for a game group. This way, because you need the board and all the other stuff for the expansion for the other decks.
Right.
So if you had 2 base games in the group, then basically what you have to do at that point is you buy in the next case. One group runs through it while a new group runs through the first one, and then they get to do that one, and you get the next one that comes in. Hopefully, it stays on track. I'm thinking though, with this whole one coming out a quarter, it's not going to keep up with the demand for it. Because when you play it, if you do like it, you'll want to play another one. This almost feels like you may want to Netflix this game. Meaning, wait till they're done, and then just go buy it all.
Do it all, yeah.
Which, at that point, you can probably just get the copies everyone else has.
True.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't sound like people talk about it's a money grab, but I think a lot of people will have this in their collection at some point, but the company's not making any extra money off of it because someone who bought a copy now is going to trade it or sell it to someone else, who's going to then trade it and sell it to someone else, who's going to trade it and sell it to somebody else. So that one copy was going to see 4 owners probably. That's at least the way I'm thinking it's going to work with that game, which, granted, if they sell 1 million copies and the 1 million copies get passed around to 4 different people, I don't think they really care. But
Oh yeah, they're charging what, $30 for a deck of cards, so they don't.
Well, I think that's one of those things where the $30, it's the development. You're not paying for the cards. You're paying for what.
Yeah.
That old argument.
Speaking of Asmodee, so I had gotten some information about the new retailer program. Just the people talking on one of the Facebook groups I'm in. So one of the stipulations of the new retail store policy is they cannot get any money for the demo copies. They can't sell them. They cannot use them in any way to generate money. So if you have stores, because there are stores that will rent out a game for you to take with you, that cannot be the demo copy that they send you. So that's one of the big stipulations. There is a definite price hike on a lot of things. Definitely with the X-Wing stuff and all of the LCG stuff. So if you're buying it at the store, you're probably paying full price anyway, but they're not making as much on it as they were. So which is making me wonder what the price difference is going to be now for the online people. But someone else did also say that, I don't know if this is part of their thing, is someone, I can't remember who it was now, to give them credit for saying it, because again, I don't know where they got it from, but I had mentioned it about the whole Amazon thing, where they're trying to curtail people who have brick and mortar stores from selling online, like in an Amazon shop, and selling to people actually walking in the door, and that's definitely, it seems to be part of it. That's part of the, you get to be a brick and mortar, or whatever they're calling, people who are certified brick and mortar sellers of the Asmodee Fantasy Flight products. That's one of the stipulations, that they're trying to stop them from selling it anywhere but in the store, because they want to support the people coming in the store for tournament scenes and all that other stuff. So that's all I've heard different. But I thought the whole thing about the the no money on the rental, which I understand. I mean, back in the day, I'm sure, Lance, when you were growing up, you have some vinyl albums that have that cut out in the side and the gold stamp saying, for promotional use only, not for sale, and you bought it in your record store.
Oh yeah, or the CD case that even had the chunk out of it.
Right.
That was real too.
So basically, it's going to be those things. They are going to monitor them somehow. It's probably not even a monitor thing. It's probably going to be like a random spot check. If someone says, "Hey, I rented the demo copy. I took it home," and they happen to see it, then they're going to investigate and give you a warning and whatnot. I mean, they don't want to stop people from selling their games, but I think they want to. It's not so much to punish people. I think it's more to reward the people that are working with them under a certain criteria. So
I still don't get this. I mean, they're selling it to distributors at their price, and then the distributors are selling it at their price too. However, I don't understand why they're trying to police this. Yeah.
It's just how much more can they squeeze out? I mean, keep squeezing that turnip. Get everything you possibly can out of it before you. That's I don't know. It's.
Well, I think it was funny. It's a sign that people don't understand, what the industry itself. Because Z-Man announced this week that they were going with 5, and it's the same 5 distributors that Asmodee, and I've heard people go,
right.
"Oh, are they trying to pull the same thing Asmodee pulled?" And they don't realize that Z-Man actually spread to more distributors by doing this. So, people don't jump to conclusions. Everyone's ganging up on you.
I think it's a lot about nothing. Is anything? One thing that annoys me is like everybody's like, "Oh, what is this going to mean?" Or we can't do anything about it, so just shut up.
Well, see, here's the other thing. Here, and this is what my thing is. When you are selling your product and you're not selling it yourself, so you don't have your own open store for whatever, and you're selling it out there. If I walk into, if I make this phone here. And I'm saying this phone retail price should be $600, and I sell it to you through distribution, whatever, and I get the same amount of money regardless. I don't really want you taking it and making it look like this is not a $600 phone by selling it for $50 more than selling it for $350 because you wanted to say, "Oh, I got the best price in town," because to everyone else this phone is worth $350. That's why you'd always see people go, "Oh, you went to your local game store and you see a game and the game's $50." You're like, "Oh, it's $50, but it's only $32 on CSI, so it's got to be a $32 game." Like, no, it's a $50 game, and that kind of it affects you because you are making these high quality games and it's a $60 game. You should be getting $60 for it. Make it look like I have a $60 game. You'd be charging. You can take a little bit less, but when you're deep discounting it, you make it look like our stuff is not at that level, that value. And again, granted, it's games, and it's not. At the end of the day, it's petty and nonsense. But yeah, $60 for a game, luxury. But you know what? You don't have to buy it. Excuse me, hello. Seth, you watching TV?
No, but I'm frozen.
Oh.
I don't think that would have mattered.
Can you take out your microphone?
Can you give us a little feedback there, Seth?
You can mute me.
No, you're fine.
No. We just wanted to hear the feedback again. That's all.
I don't know if you got to hear the actual audio.
No, I didn't. No, that was my phone though. Now I'm on my computer.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, well, great.
All right. It's almost 1:30. I'm going to bed, boys.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, you're jumping in. It's like it's nearly shutting down time, Seth. Well, how you been? Hey, everybody, hang out for 5 more minutes so Seth can talk to us for a little.
All right. So yeah, let's talk for 5 minutes.
How you been, buddy?
Doing all right. I was just listening to you guys while I was getting cleaned up and stuff after Frisbee, and so a minute ago you were talking about like or well, one of you, Anthony was talking about the time stories, how it's one and done, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's the same comments you hear everywhere. So you said you played it. Did you buy it, or did you play someone else's copy?
No, I played someone else's copy.
Okay. I don't know. I hear a lot of people talking about that. I think it's. I don't mind it. I don't mind the idea of a game that's one and done like that. It's a good. What is it? $60 for 3-4 hours of entertainment times 4 people. Compare that to like a movie. How bad? I mean, if it's really that good.
I'm not saying it. I'm saying it's bad. I know. I have made the point that I think we'll see more games like that than we'll see like legacy games.
Oh, you're probably right about that, because I feel like Legacy takes a lot of work, and so far every Legacy game that's come out and is coming out that we know of is Rob Daviau, and he's like, he figured it out, he made it, and he's. I don't know if we'll even see anyone make a Legacy game that isn't involved, have Rob Daviau involved, at least for a while, until someone figures it out, I guess.
Or at least a good one.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see some copycat. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, other games that come out, like Dominion came out and people liked it, and then a bunch of copycats came out. But Legacy is not trivial, I think. I mean, I haven't even played a Legacy game yet, so I don't know if I can talk about it. But I never played Risk Legacy. I've got 2 copies of Pandemic Legacy sitting right there on my table waiting for someone to play with. But I haven't tried.
Well, Seth, let me explain to you like what a legacy game feels like. So you have a design, and you have done all your stuff, and you're tweaking and everything. You're ready to go, and then you go and you start playtesting it with the same group. And as you're doing something, you're like, hey, you know what? Let's take this part out of it, or let's add this into it. That's kind of what a legacy game is, because what it basically does is it takes this basic set of rules you start with, and even in the rule books, there's like blank spaces on the pages, because you'll get to points in the game where you'll actually put a new rule in, or put a new condition in, or change the way a rule works previously. So it's kind of like that whole development of mechanics in a game when you're designing a game and playtesting it and tweaking it
mechanism
from beginning to end. So that's kind of what you're doing in it. So basically what you have to do in that game is you have to think that way when you're designing it. I'm sure Rob has his own method to it, but that's kind of the whole thing. You have to go and say, okay, do I have a game that works without all this stuff in it? If I was, okay, yeah, I'm starting here. Well, let's try this. I had this idea for this. Let me see if that works. And then you play that. Yeah, that works. Okay, that can be a legacy thing there. It's when you decide to put it in, and the fact that everything stays cohesive and works together and progresses as you keep adding stuff and taking stuff out. That's pretty much what a legacy game is.
When you say it like that, it sounds just like a game that has an expansion that you play the game a couple times, then you add the expansion that changes the game. Like as an example, I mean, not that this is a legacy game, but you play a Minute to Main a couple times, and then based on something happening in the game, it triggers adding exotic planets or something that are coming out in the expansion.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I mean, I've played 3 legacy games now, and like, I mean, Pandemic Legacy I've played, and then the other 2 I've played, I played like basically demo versions of them. I played Chronicles at BGG, and I played Seafall at BGG.
Well, that's like all of them, right?
Well, there's Risk Legacy, which I haven't played. So I found Chronicles to be almost like it was very Euro-y with like a little bit of like just a little bit like there was a lot more like with like your naming. I see Chronicles for me. I like where they want to go with it, because the whole idea is like the first time you play it, each person is a member of the tribe. And then the next time you play it, when you like upgrade to like whatever, you leave Stone Age and you go to the Bronze Age or whatever. Each person is their own tribe, and then it's gonna go from there. And then I think it's gonna be like countries and whatever, because you're gonna basically take the whole idea is that you're gonna take it from prehistory through the future. And I like the idea. It reminds me of that game. What was that? Spore. The whole it kind of reminds me of that, for the computer that came out like 5 or 6 years ago. Now the Seafall was weird because when I played it, like it was like, okay, so you're basically a explorer on a ship, and then you get to decide. It was more of a storytelling game because it was like, okay, I move my ship to this spot on the board, and then it was like Tales of the Arabian Nights because it was telling you take out that book and read number 77, and then it gives you an option. Do you want to, you find an island. It's got a lot of this natural resource. Do you want to try to trade with the natives to get it, or do you just want to slaughter them and then take it? And then depending on what you do, so like if you say, oh, I'm going to trade with them, oh, okay, well you set up a trade route, and then you actually are putting a sticker on the map, and then saying there's a trade route for this resource now. But if you like just slaughtered them, you didn't get that, and then like you find out that there's other like tribes that are allied with this one, and you get a sticker on your like ship that basically says if you come close to those places, they attack you. So it's Seafall for me was more of like it was more one of those fighting fantasy books. If you remember those back in the day, that like Steve Jackson that isn't Steve Jackson wrote, the other Steve Jackson, like the ones that you would like. You play like basically a one-player D&D game, and then depending upon like the choices you made and the equipment that you had, you were able to do other things as the book progressed.
I think I remember those.
Yeah, and so Seafall was interesting just because of the world that it was. This very interesting, very intricate world, and there I get the feeling that there's going to be like a big reveal. Like it's like playing like I've been playing Fallout 4. And there's a very central plot line. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but the Fallout 4 has a big reveal. Like you get to a certain point in the storyline, and there's a very big moment where like the game kind of opens itself up to you, and like something that you've been banking on for a while. Even though you kind of predict what the twist is going to be, like if you're not, you don't see it coming. You don't see what. At least I didn't. I'm sure somebody. I saw it going a mile away. But so I get the impression that Seafall has that because it's a lot of mystery, and it's like a book basically. It's a book that you're playing, but it's a board game instead of like an abstract fighting fantasy type game. So I think in each way they're each their own entity. Pandemic to me, it's like it's legacy, but I don't feel like that's telling me a story. I just feel like I'm opening another box, and now here's. As Anthony said, here's a mechanism that I have to apply to my pandemic game, and I have to abide by this rule. And
the impression I've gotten so far is that and the way I've tried to describe it to people that haven't played yet, I feel like playing a game of Pandemic might be like being in a TV show or a very short dramatic movie where oh my gosh there's diseases and then either you save it or you don't. Whereas playing Pandemic Legacy is like being in a Netflix series or something. I don't know if that's accurate. I kind of hope that's what it feels like. I hope it's like being inside a dramatic series that is more than just one episode.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see. And Seafall sounds pretty awesome, and especially if I like Pandemic Legacy, I'll definitely want to try Seafall. And it's definitely an interesting design aspect, the Legacy thing. But in other news, the other thing that you guys were talking about that I heard, and I wanted to weigh in on, if I remember what it was, like before that, you were talking about clusters of similar movies coming out all at the same time, and I'm not sure how you got on that subject, but when you were talking about like, TV shows like Babylon 5, or you were talking about X-Files, and then like all the weird TV shows that were out. I don't know what ones those were, or like Babylon 5 and Star Trek and all that kind of stuff. How is that? I wonder if that's the same kind of thing as when similar movies come out, like Deep Impact and Armageddon, or when similar games come out, like I don't know, a couple years ago we had like 3 wine-making games or whatever. Is that just more of that? Like,
and only one of them was any good.
I'm curious which one you think was good.
Nah, just Anthony knows the answer.
Well, also, which year are we talking about? There's Beano's Grand Crew and like some other winemaking game all came out at one time.
Well, I'll say. Excuse me. God, I'm tired.
Thus,
No, I'll say this. I think games run in genres. For a while, all it takes is one. Like, look at social deduction games. All it takes is one of those to make a ton of money. Look at even themes in a certain way. I mean, themes that make money. But I mean, like they say, you can slap zombies or Cthulhu on anything, and it'll sell some copies just because people like the theme. I think that games run hot and cold as far as mechanisms more than anything. I mean, for whatever reason, games that I particularly don't really enjoy, but I mean, like, I don't know, people just seem to love. I mean, I think storytelling elements in games are what people are really gunning for right now. I mean, as far as, not your like dry, tasteless Euro lovers, but I mean, somebody that has like the thematic audience really wants there to be some story-driven action going on, and I think that's the thing right now.
well, that's something why Pandemic Legacy and why Time Stories are so popular.
Yeah, because it's a social interaction, it's a social escape.
And I think, and they're people seem to be really big on innovation or like new stuff. In fact, here's a question I've been thinking about. I'm curious what all you guys think, and maybe Lance last because everyone else hasn't talked in the last 10 minutes. Answer this question. So people definitely dig, innovation. Like someone comes out with a game that does a new thing, a new mechanism, a new combination of mechanisms, whatever, and that's really cool. And then someone comes out with another game that says, oh, that was pretty neat idea, but it wasn't done all that well. And they come out with another game that's like a better game with that mechanism, and people poo-poo it because it's not original, and they'd rather go play something lesser that's original than a better game that's been refined. What do you guys think about that? Would you rather play an original game that's not maybe as good, or a refined game that's uses mechanisms or stuff that's been done?
Get Barry.
Oh, great, thanks.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
No, I wasn't. I guess I'd rather have a more refined game. Yeah.
Even if it's nothing, people describe in reviews as, oh, there's nothing new in this game. It's just it's been done before. But if it's been done better, you'd rather have that than like something that's new.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look at the co-op genre. The first one sucked. And then it gradually got better, and people hooked onto them.
But that's the thing. A lot of them now are the same. There's nothing new.
Now,
and the thing about something being innovative, it may be innovative. It just still has to be interesting.
Yeah.
So you can be innovative and still like have, no one wants to play that. And someone may say, hey, you know what? Yeah, it has a good concept, but the execution is all wrong, and maybe it's not exactly the same, but it's changed a little bit. And then people will look at it and they'll go, oh, remember that game that came out? The other thing too is if something is innovative, but it's not a good game, it's not going to get the buzz, and no one's really going to know the fact that it's innovative. I see people now who try to do things in games that they think they've never seen before, but people who play a lot of games and have been playing games for a while know that that's been done before.
Right.
So it's kind of it's maybe innovative. It's not used in a lot of games, but it's kind of out there, like the whole like rondelle thing. Like some people thought it was the most novel thing, and then you're like, oh, this game was made 3 years earlier and it's got a rondelle in it. Like, oh, I never knew that because it didn't get hype and it didn't get all this publicity and everything. And with saturation in the market, you're going to see less things that are innovative. It's got to be innovative and good in order for people to even look at it and say, oh, this is innovative. Innovative for the sake of innovation is not going to make the game any more popular.
Yeah. No, it's such a grab bag. There's so many damn games out there now. I mean, it's just like it's. You know, I think you're hard pressed to be innovative anymore anyway. You know, and there's probably games out there that are super innovative that I just don't even know exist. You know, just because they've literally like, in like I said this before, and I'll say it again. You know, 10 years ago when I got in this hobby, it seemed like I knew every game that was coming out. And now,
Well, there are more games now.
well, yeah, and it's just like,
Never bad.
and now there's 200 board game projects on Kickstarter at any given time, and I don't know what 80% of them are.
Right.
You're not doing videos for all 200 of them, Vance?
No, I'm not. No.
Well, I guess maybe that's just a pet peeve of mine when someone comes out with a game that's all right and does something new, and then someone soon after comes out with a game that does a better job of that and gets criticized for not, they'd rather play the all right game that was new and then move on rather than play a
I think that's a very small percentage of people, honestly.
That might be.
But I mean, and that's just haters. I don't want to say haters, but that's just, it's just people that are just like, oh, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they just have some sort of weird loyalty to it or whatever. I mean, I tend to believe that if that which is better, that shines brighter, that which is, a better design will ultimately, see, more attention.
But I'm also going to say that a lot of those people who are talking like that either don't even try the new game because they know about the old game, or they're big fans of the original.
Oh, that could be.
Because Dominion, people who are big fans of Dominion will always call everything a Dominion ripoff if it involves deck building, whether it actually does the same thing or not.
And they're still just stuck playing a deck builder, which.
Yeah, here's a classic example of the, we don't like you even though your thing is new. So I remember when Windows came out, and they had all these big publicity things of Windows, and the folks at Apple contacted everyone who had bought an Apple computer from them and asked them for their shirt size. Now, so my father had gotten this thing, and he didn't know what was going on, so he sent it, and then they sent in the mail T-shirts. And it says, been there, done that. Because Windows is basically what Apple was using for years on the Mac, with being able to click and open a program. And it was the funniest thing, because all these people had these shirts that said, been there, done that, with a thing on the bottom that looked sort of like the Windows logo at the time. But again, people didn't have Macs. They didn't realize this was a big thing, Windows. But the technology existed already, so that innovation was already there. Just people just didn't know it existed.
Fair enough. Well, on that wonderful little anecdote, that actually is a good anecdote. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like hearing stories like that. It is time. So for those of you who tuned in and watched us live, I greatly appreciate it. For all my guests that were on, you missed Michael by about an hour, Seth.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it would have been fun having you both on at the same time.
Hey, did you have Dave Chalker on?
No, I don't have his email and I can't find it. Somebody texted it to me.
Andy gave it to you.
I know he did. I couldn't find it on my dang phone. I'll get him on next week. You guys have still got it going on.
Right.
You'll have hit the 400,000 by next week, so you can talk about your metal coins then. But no, just hope everybody had a good time. Thank you very much for tuning in, and for those of you who are watching after the fact, thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Adios. Hey, thanks for joining us, Paul and Walnuts. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find that email address.
We're still live.
Man, we're still alive.
Oh, live people. I'm gonna